count down when you're ready, Kirby. No, you're fine. I just take the countdown. I can
Back
see
in my
it.
head is all of us.
It's the devil signal now. Okay. Good evening. Welcome to tonight's school committee meeting. Bob, would you lead us Pledge of Allegiance, please? Yes.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Is there a motion on the consent agenda?
Make a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented.
Seconded. Okay, motion made and seconded to accept the consent agenda for the minutes of February 28th, 2013, notes to pay bills and payroll. Any other discussion? No? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
No opposed, unanimous, thank you. Interested citizens? Kelly, any acknowledgements you'd like to make?
I have a few this evening. First of all, I'd like to congratulate our high school boys basketball team and coaches for an exciting season. Certainly witnessed to some great basketball during the season. They were division champs and made an admirable showing at the state semifinals. They had a great season. Very proud of their accomplishments.
Yeah, very good, congratulate them. And John, if you take back, thank you for coaching the kids for us too. It was an entertaining season.
I promised I wouldn't steal Ethan's thunder, but Mrs. Bridge for having a successful music excursion to Disney World. Our kids had a chance to play and actually record some music when they were there. So very good trip, good experience for our kids. And the third acknowledgement, unfortunately, Dr. Brankel is not here this evening. He's in Washington. Mark has officially finished his dissertation. He actually did it last week, and as a result, finished the requirements for his Doctor of Education degree. So he is now Dr. Brankel. So I'd like to formally congratulate him.
Yeah. So the conferment exercise and everything's taking place?
Exercises haven't taken place yet.
Is he inviting us? Or doesn't want the family there?
We'll see. He has defended his dissertation. In the spring sometime, he'll be convocating.
Excellent.
Yes.
And you said he's coming tonight?
No, he's in Washington.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, he went on
With
the
the
trip.
trip.
Go ahead. Of course, yeah.
Fourth acknowledgement, just to say thanks to our highway department for keeping our roads safe and accessible during snowstorms. This last snowstorm we had was an interesting one, pretty severe in terms of the amount of snow and the time span that it came down on. And very impressed with the hours that they put in and the dedication to keep our roads and schools accessible.
Yes. I'm going to second that. Jimmy Clyde and the rest of them did a great job.
And that's it.
Thank you. Anybody want to offer any comments there? Thank you. All right, presentations. We're going to get the school improvement plan of the high school. John, take it away, please.
Great.
It's right there. Should be good to go.
Good evening. Happy to join you tonight with Mrs. Temple, our assistant principal, who will join us along with several faculty and students who will be presenting a mid-year update to the school improvement plan. A little bit past the mid-year, but nonetheless an update as to where we're at with things. And you'll notice on the first slide that I'll present to you tonight.
Should work. Try it now.
Okay, there we go. All right, this is our revised mission statement from last year. We presented this to you, I believe, in February of last year. Our faculty worked extensively on this over a period of several months, and this was part of our reaccreditation process. And this is our guiding. These are our guiding principles, our guiding mission statement. It's a living document. We're open to feedback and revision throughout the years ahead, but this is our guiding statement. And we lead off with the shared values of the district: respect, responsibility, integrity, accountability, perseverance, and of course, we've added teamwork at the high school. We think that's crucial to the way we get our work done as across the district, but particularly in the high school building. So we added perseverance and teamwork as high school core values. And these values guide our decision making and inform major, often budget allocations as we move forward. Along with that, I would like to present to you an update related to curriculum. We've made a number of things, we made a number, progress, I should say, with our curriculum documentation. You'll see that, you've heard about it from Director Jamian, about the updates to the Atlas Rubicon web portal. The Common Core alignment that is underway across the district, that's certainly happening at the high school. We've also made plans and launched an initiative in our history department related to research, paper writing, and documentation. And Mr. Miskinis is going to speak to that later this evening. He is a key player in that initiative. The LHS Curriculum Committee, as part of NEAS, completed a curriculum report. This was worked on over several months, and this document was approved in December of 2012. A number of reports had to be written as part of our reaccreditation process. You've heard me talk about that before. It's an intensive self-study, a reflection upon where we're at and how we can get better. We really do have that ethic of continuous improvement at our school. You'll see a number of items that I won't read to you here. These are the learning expectations that we revised as part of the reaccreditation process, the self-study. These statements, or 21st century learning expectations in the jargon of New England Association of Schools and Colleges, are key elements of all of our curriculum and instruction and assessment. We are expected to develop rubrics or assessments for all of these things and measure student attainment of these expectations by the time they graduate. Our process is underway for how we'll do that, but mainly through a process of what they call rubrics. And I guess the way to summarize all these bullet statements rather than read them all to you is the 4 C's we mention often at school committee meetings. We emphasize critical thinking, we emphasize collaboration, we emphasize active communication and creativity in our lesson planning and our instruction and our assessment. And these things will all be attended to over the course of the next year as we develop assessments for these expectations. Instruction, just to make it short, we finished a report identifying strengths and needs in the instruction area. This was completed this past fall and approved by the faculty in December of 2012 and will be reviewed in May when the reaccreditation or the evaluation committee visits our high school. With assessment, we completed an assessment report for our self-study in December of 2012. And along with this, I've already mentioned at length the rubric development that's necessary for us to undergo, and that's underway already. We launched that, and we will assess all those learning expectations. With professional development, we have dedicated our professional developments, as you've heard throughout the years, to this self-study process, this intensive process of committee meetings, involvement of students, involvement of parents, and of course the involvement of our faculty to great extent. And we've also dedicated our work to the curriculum mapping projects that I've already mentioned, and the launching of a new student information system called Aspen, which the parents will be hearing a lot more about, and students as well, as they become familiar with it as the mechanism which they'll go to view grades and progress reports in the year ahead. We expect that parents will receive activation codes sometime in the summer, probably in August, perhaps as early as July, but likely in August. And they'll be activating accounts in our new student information system. Our teachers now are undergoing training and getting familiar with it. So we're very excited about this new information system. 4 standards committees have been undergoing extensive work throughout the fall. They are the Curriculum, Instruction, Assessment, School Culture, and Leadership Committee. So it's been a busy time in examining our practices at the high school. I'd like to have Mrs. Temple come up and just speak to you about several things, other areas of our school improvement plan related to community, communication, climate, culture, and technology. I'll be happy to elaborate as we go forward about other things as well. Thank you.
I have to give away, if you look at my notes, that Dr. Harrington stole my slides, so I'll just continue. So community and communication. The guidance department at Littleton High School developed an alumni survey to gather data about preparation for post-secondary career and college. The survey is for students who graduated in 2012, and that survey will be sent out in April of this year. And in terms of communication, we also continued weekly email messages to parents, and we also had more frequent updates on our website. For climate and culture, we formed a bell schedule study group this year that will examine a variety of high school bell schedules and make a recommendation for a possible adoption of a new bell schedule. The study group will meet between the months of February and December of this year in hopes to have something to propose for September of 2014. So the committee is very excited about looking at different options for a possible change in bell schedule for September of 2014. In technology, we expanded our virtual high school program with AP Music Theory. And we also have an additional 25 student seats that are shared between the middle school and the high school. We replaced 4 TVs and added Apple TV connections. And also, the technology section of our school improvement plan will be substantially revised for next year. And for LHS highlights, the music department update, Ethan will be giving that. The literary magazine, Caroline McCann and Nathaniel Santoro.
Yep,
Yes?
I don't think they're going to be.
They're not yet in the house. The digital media and art department highlights will be from Jonathan Allen, and Model UN and student research and history will be presented to us from Mr. Bill Miskinis, Liz Ambronia, and Haley Yates.
Thank you very much. And what I'd like to do at this point in time is call up Ethan Dauphiné, who will present about our music department and all the exciting things that have happened this year, but also an outlook for what's ahead in the future and where he'd like to see it go and where members of the music department would like to see it go. As you know, Ethan is often referred to as the captain of the school band. He's also the captain of, I guess, the jazz band. Is that the right term to use? They refer to him jokingly as the captain, and he's shown great leadership at our school over the past few years. And we're certainly grateful to have him tonight. So we'll step aside and have Ethan come up and make his presentation. Could you just minimize that? And which one did you bring up? That one right there.
Thank you. So normally I come to you guys and I talk to you as your student representative. Tonight I have the privilege of being here on behalf of Ms. Bridge and the rest of my classmates to talk to you about a few things that's going on in our music department. Obviously, we had an interesting year given what happened a few weeks ago when we went to Florida, something that this group hasn't done since 1964, traveled at all. We have never gone anywhere that far. The Littleton High School Band went to Washington, D.C. in 1964. That was the first and only time in the history of Littleton High School that our band has traveled until just a few weeks ago. Tonight, I want to talk about some of the things that we saw happen this year as a result of scheduling changes, student interest at the high school, while at the same time, I would like to address the school committee on where we're going in the next few years. And we have numbers to back some of this information up. And we're also going to talk to you guys about some of the resourcing issues that we have in making us a stronger program. First with the changes, our jazz band and chorus for as long as anyone can remember have been classes that we've had during the school day. And for the first time, these were moved to after-school clubs. One of our new teachers at the high school, Ms. Sutherland, took over the chorus program, and our band director, Hillary Bridge, who unfortunately could not be here tonight due to a sick child at home, she took over the jazz band this year. And the responses from that have been tremendous, and I listed the big reason we're so excited right here, and that's all 3 of our music groups at the high school grew in size this year. Small disclaimer on the last one, that 19%, upon further recalculation, that's actually much higher. It's about 28%. I missed around some numbers and I didn't have time to fix it before I submitted the final copy. But as I'm going to show you in a few minutes, at least for the band, this is numbers that we expect to continue to grow like this. And for a lot of it, with the jazz band and chorus specifically, it is related to them moving after school. This was a change that a lot of us students wanted. I remember myself and Austin Ferrante, we are the 2 jazz band captains, and I remember going to Dr. Harrington's office last year and asking that this happen. We felt like we could do a lot more with our resources and with the students that want to do jazz band if it was after school, and we saw the growth this year. Outlook for the future. This is some of the things that we're already doing now that we are working on doing better. And all of these I talked about this afternoon with Ms. Bridge about what specifically is going to happen. The chorus and the band at the middle school are very big and very strong. There's a lot of talented kids in this program right now, and that number continues to grow by the year. District and state auditions. This is something that happens every November. I participated 8th grade through junior year, and unfortunately I wasn't able to this year. We had 3 students qualify for junior districts at the middle school, and 1 student qualify for senior districts at the high school. We are in eastern Massachusetts as a district. Littleton is considered in eastern Massachusetts, and we are going up against music programs such as Boston Latin, Westboro, Rivers. Some of these are music schools that we're going up against, and we're holding our own against these schools. And that's something that we have been able to take a lot of pride in. And then the last one, and it's the one that everybody wants to talk about, is that it is the plan as of right now for this program to make that trip to Florida an event that occurs every 3 years. Every student who comes in to the Littleton Band from 5th grade will have an opportunity to go on this trip. The lucky ones get to go twice. And this next slide is probably my favorite slide ever, because I can't look at it without smiling, just at what we're going to be in a couple of years. This is the number of kids in the bands across grades 7 through 12. This is as far back as I could get. And if you look at the size of the 8th grade band, 27 kids, we expect roughly about 18 statistically. Probably about 2/3 of a group that size will come up to the high school. Melanie Cruz, Austin Ferrante, and I, the 3 band captains, we went down to the middle school on Monday, and we spoke to the 8th grade band on a quote-unquote recruiting trip, where we talked to them about high school band, and we asked how many of you were coming up, and we saw at least 15 hands. And it was a great thing to see. In the 7th grade band, we expect roughly 15 out of their 25. Looking ahead 2 years from now specifically, if you look at the sophomore class to the 7th grade band, as of right now, projected 42 kids in the band. A very, very large number. In that sophomore class, there may only be 5 of them, but they are the most talented class in the district, those 5 kids. They have more talent than I think we've seen here in a long time between them. And 2 years from now, the band that Dr. Harrington and Miss Bridge are going to have at the high school is going to be something that we will not have seen in a long time. And it's probably my fault.
I was going to ask, they're as talented as you?
Yeah. Just a little bit more. Some of the concerns we have, and this is where I wanted to talk to the school committee tonight about resources. We have a lot of things that go into every performance that we do, every football game that we go out and play at, every Memorial Day that we go and march at. And we have some issues that are arising and have been arising for a while. The first one that I have here is school instruments. Currently we have a large amount of brass equipment and a pretty decent sized amount of wind equipment in our band room that has not been taken care of for probably close to a couple decades at this point. These materials that we can use, if a student's clarinet isn't working, we go pull from these shelves and we find something for them to play. And right now our stock there is wasting away to nothing. The one that's becoming exceedingly difficult is the second bullet here, which is our drums. we go march out Memorial Day every year, and we have 7, 8, 9 drummers a year, and right now we have 2 functioning snare drums. It's very difficult to go to Memorial Day and into the football games and play how we want to play with what we have right now. Lack of completed sheet music. This covers chorus, band, jazz band, everything that we do. There's talk about adding a lot more new pep music for the football games next year. Some of our music we've had here since probably Mr. Foley's first year here. And it's Miss Bridges' belief that it's time to change some of that. And the very last concern is something that we have talked about as a group, especially those that are freshmen through junior right now, and that's fundraising through ourselves. Over the past year prior to our Florida trip, we were able to gain a large amount of money that enabled us to make sure that kids that otherwise wouldn't be able to go could go on this Florida trip. And the benefit that we're looking at now is instead of having 1 year, we have 3. And right now, between Miss Bridge and the future captains, the newly elected ones, their job is finding ways, new ways, inventive ways that we can become self-sufficient, so that every year we don't need to come back and say, look, we don't have this, we don't have this. And the great thing about a lot of the things that we do in the band is when, we get a new French horn. That's good for a long time. These are not recurring costs. These are not things that come up every year. They come up once, and then we can let it go for a long time. So that's all I have for you tonight. I'd like to thank you. And if anyone has any questions,
No? Is that okay with John, as we go through each one?
Yep, go ahead.
First of all, great job. I think just to give us kind of the State of the Union, State of the Tuba, whatever you want to call it. I like your slide's my favorite slide too. That's fantastic to see that it's still going on. I know that we've had some challenges, making sure that we have, we don't make cuts in certain areas, and it's nice to see those numbers up there, and hopefully we can sustain them and continue to come out with those high bars you can see in the 7th and 8th grade, years behind the 5th and 4th and 3rd. In order to do that, I know that you guys having the concerts and doing fundraising, I think that's fantastic. Is it something, I guess oftentimes you'll ask the question, what do you need from us? And so this isn't really quantified, and I don't think that was the purpose of tonight, to quantify it, but it is something that I think we need to take a look at. And if we can know what's on the wish list, I think Mark uses Dr. Franco uses the term wishes, ought to haves, wish I had, ought to have, and need to have. If we had something like that, that would be.
I can tell you that list actually started its creation today. Ms. Bridge sat down and started going through that. I was hoping to have some specifics to give you tonight, but without, I just didn't feel like there was enough information for me to come here and be specific. That list is forthcoming. It's just not prepared as of right now.
And I'm not sure that your presentation was great. It kind of gives us, lets us know how you guys are doing. You're doing great things, and I think to open some eyes. I'd like to see that list, Dr. Harrington. That's something that
Sure. It's part of the budget.
maybe, and kids could probably tell us some of that as well. It's just something that's the only real comment I have.
I actually met Ms. Bridge today and had a conversation focused around what you're talking about. So, as Ethan stated, Ms. Bridge has started the list, and she'll be emailing it to me, and I will have a meeting with the 2 principals after I receive it.
That's great. Thank you.
And I just wanted to comment, you showed the potential students moving from the middle school to the high school band. I think if you do make the Disney trip every 3-year thing, I think you'll see more retention there. I know firsthand there's a lot of buzz in the middle school band about they're already planning on going. Some of the members of that band. So I think
I
they'll-
actually heard a few of the 8th graders already have rooms picked out.
Yes.
That was what we heard on Monday when we went down there,
Yeah.
is they have their rooms decided already.
And having witnessed the performance firsthand, someone said it was great, despite the fact that the half of the band was sick. You still did a good job.
That's right, you did go down.
Yeah.
Excellent presentation, substance and style, so well done. So two purposes, you informed us, which is good, but then we also get to see you perform, and I don't mean that in a sarcastic sense. Seriously, as a student, your learning, you know, certainly from your family, which you bring your natural talents, but then also the schools, given the opportunity, this is what it's all about. So thank you. Continue building the list, and certainly we'll run that as we do with all our budget items, you know, through the buildings, through the superintendent for prioritization. But that you have a plan, it's growing, and that's good, because student participation is always important. The more students that are going to participate, the more resources we're going to put in that direction. So well done, Ethan. Thanks, John.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. And we'll soon get to the Model UN. I want, John, Mr. Allen, if you wouldn't mind, I'd like to have you come up and just talk briefly about the digital media program and the art department highlights. I'll be chiming in for Mrs. Hosfeld with some updates on the Boston Globe All Scholastics Art Program. So without further ado, you know how to work one of these. And Mr. Allen's a new addition to Littleton High School this year in our digital media program. He's currently a part-time teacher. He's doing incredible work down there, and I wanted to make sure you had an opportunity to meet him, but really learn more about the work he does on a daily basis with our students. It's the stuff we're talking about routinely at school committee meetings, about having skills, teaching skills that students are equipped, they're going to use in college, they're going to use in their career, and he's doing that on a daily basis. It's really exciting stuff. So, Mr. Allen.
Hi. Thank you for having me and giving me the opportunity to speak tonight and present some of the work that I'm doing at Littleton High School. I refer to it as digital media and emerging technologies. I'm really going to focus on what we're doing with graphic design, digital illustration, and different forms of media tools that students can apply to 21st century skills, and how that is also bridges into new developments in the industry. So I refer to it as digital illustration. You can also call it digital media. It combines anything from manipulating an image in the computer to using photography to so many different advancements that are literally being made every day. One of the things that I really stress with the students from freshmen to seniors is I'm really encouraging them and holding them to industry standards. I'm teaching them foundations of aesthetic composition, basic elements of creating visually dynamic work, but I'm also, a big part of what I'm teaching them is showing them work being done in the industry, examples of how to make careers out of this, how it's applied in multiple forms of media, whether it's TV, internet, emerging technologies and smart devices and applications. I'm really stressing how the work that we're doing in class can be applied to in the professional industry. And a lot of the work that we do is inspired by people working professionally. One assignment I did was a sneaker advertisement. We primarily focus on the program Adobe Photoshop. There is something called the Adobe Suite, which contains the Photoshop program, Illustrator, After Effects, so there's film editing, sound editing. I'm trying to really stress all forms of media. And what I had the students do is we recreated a Nike shoe advertisement. This piece was by Hunter, I believe his last name is Thompson, and I gave them the foundation of using a sneaker ad, and this was called a paint splatter effect, and incorporating the element of flowing paint into the sneaker ad. And the other thing that I also try to stress is, yes, we're learning these technologies, but I also want the students to tap into their creativity. I want them to creativity, in my personal opinion, is a muscle that needs to be flexed. It needs to be worked. It needs to be practiced. And I'm also really encouraging them. I'm like, I always stress with them, I'm like, even if you're at a beginner level with this, if you feel as though you're just starting to do this type of work, if you feel as though you might be at a novice level, that's fine. What I want to do is encourage your creativity, because that can apply to so many other fields that are happening in the industry. This was another piece by Katie Bradford. She's actually was a Silver Key award winner in our in the art and writing scholastic contest. She recreated a sneaker ad, and the thing that it was great because this is what she actually wears. This is a part of her personality, and she's really talented, and she did work that's ready for, this could be used professionally. And it's amazing to see students unlock that potential. This was a piece by Adam Gentile, and this was a Gold Key winner. And what I had, this was an assignment where I had students digitally collage elements together to form a larger image. So what Adam chose to do was he chose birds, and he collaged different elements of blue colored birds, and he made a blue macaw here. And I really think that he sort of tapped into a greater context with making this of a bird that is endangered in the rainforest. I personally think the judges gravitated towards the content that he achieved in this. Not only is it a beautifully stunning piece, but he's evoking something, and thus the title, Plight of the Macaw. And again, we used Photoshop to achieve these effects. This is the Silver Key winner by Katie Bradford. We used multiple forms of steps of media to create this. She actually also worked with Shannon Sturtz to set up this dynamic where they took pictures of each other and then collaged themselves in this sort of fantastical environment where they're in this this sort of fantastic light battle with one another. This was, to me personally, that Katie was very proficient and quick at mastering technical aspects of the program, but she's also, through doing this, she was able to really start developing her skill set in telling story as well through visual elements. This is another tutorial we did where I had students, it's called the flame tutorial, where you're taking different photographic elements and using a flame to sort of make the image of a tiger. And Lauren is a freshman, and I want you guys to just, when you're looking at this work, next time you're flipping through a magazine or you're going through the web, we're constantly bombarded by this imagery. It's everywhere, and it's almost become a part of our subconscious landscape. So what I'm really trying to stress with the students is this makes up so much of our world, and I want you guys to tap into the potential with this. It's huge, and we're just at the precipice of where this is going to go as far as how media is affecting our lives. It's really exciting. Here's another piece by Adam where he used collage to bring in the image of a dirt bike, and he just chose to create a checkered background which sort of evokes the racing track. This is a piece by Emily Crosby where she actually designed our mission statement poster. We've had some mission statement posters that have been in the high school for a while, and Dr. Harrington came to me and he asked if we could engage the students to sort of redesign and put some new work in the school. And the great thing about Emily is she's graduating this year, and she's never really done a lot of work with the computer. She's one of those people that's like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing, it kind of scares me. And now she has developed some really good foundational skills where I've told her, I'm like, you're going to be going to college, consider maybe developing, getting involved with school programs that might utilize some of these skills. Always, just think about sort of keeping it in your repertoire. And she's a great example of a student that didn't have a lot of experience with it, and now she has a foundation. And once you learn a foundation in something like Photoshop, it really translates into so many other aspects and so many other different programs. This was the Marble Collective Poster Contest in Marble, Mass. They were having a contest where students were submitting work to raise awareness for keeping arts in the schools. So we took a tutorial where you can wrap an image over an object, which is a Van Gogh being wrapped over their portraits. So this was sort of the idea of students' reflectiveness, what the arts mean to them, and this also had this assignment had an element of history. I encouraged them to research art history and like the importance of art in different aspects of history, and using the self-portrait and their relational context to that. And it's a quote that says, "The only time I feel alive when I'm painting Vincent van Gogh." And this is Matthew Johnson, and he was inspired to use Salvador Dali. One of the other things that I really stress with students is, which I find interesting with young people, is I pushed him to use a very particular font, and just understanding everything you do now is there's a digital fingerprint. So I want to encourage students to, when you're putting something together, when you're putting it out there, you really want to make sure what you're communicating, because you're not bringing it back. So one of the other things that I really want to, that we're hoping to do with the program is to get into animation. I've started doing some basic animations with my classes. As you may know, the animation industry is enormous. It is from everything to TV to applications that you have on your smart devices. It's an enormous industry, and right now I'm in the process of teaching students fundamentals of animation, computer animation, and digital media. And I just wanted to show a couple of examples of some real basic, they're called GIFs. What we did, graphic interchange format, it's the oldest form, one of the oldest forms of software still being used on the web. But it's a really good starting platform to start getting into more complicated.
I don't know if this is logged into the internet. I didn't know we needed to.
Oh, yeah. Something different.
And we use a lot of different social media platforms with my classes. I try to utilize that as much as possible to also engage the students in critique with one another. And it's a really effective way to keep track of what everyone is doing.
Could you just comment while we're booting up here, about some of the courses that you are proposing for next year? There's some slight changes to some of our program study.
Yeah, right now, currently, as it stands, we have a Graphics 1, Graphics 2, and Photography course. Dr. Harrington and I have spoke, and we really want to push the graphics into digital media and digital illustration and animation. You guys will love to hear this, but I found a open source animation software that's used by industry professionals that's completely free, with hundreds of free tutorials. And this is a software that people on par with the guys from Pixar use. So that's why I'm starting the students on some really basic elements of animation, because what we want to do is explore digital media and animation and push it farther.
We've talked about this as a sort of a glaring hole in our program of studies as we get feedback from parents and from students about what we could do to improve our program overall, academically, or just the courses we offer. And we've received lots of feedback over the last few years about some holes with technology, courses related to that, computer science, coding, and animation in particular. And even some folks have talked about some gaming design, things like that, things that are really appealing for kids. Engineering courses, we've shown a lot of growth and strength there as we presented last year. But this is another area we're trying to grow in. So, John, if you want.
Yeah, this is this is an example of a animation sequence that that Zachary did, and he literally, in the process of a week, he went from having no experience in animation to starting having this animation completed. Again, trying to start with a foundation. I'm starting the students off with learning these foundations and growing it from there.
Others you want to feature?
Yeah, there's a couple more. I also had some students design some banner GIFs which could be used on the website. Let me find it. Which one was it? Hannah's. So this is one of our core value statements, and this was a really good example of, and I talked to Dr. Harrington about possibly integrating something like this into a blog. I really want to encourage the students to use these skills to also be more civically engaged with what's happening with the school and their community as a whole.
And the students designed posters related to those core values I mentioned at the beginning of tonight's presentation, and they're posted around the building. You're going to see, as you walk around, you'll see more of those.
We've done that.
And we can do this one. Okay, that's closed. So what they did is I had them post to work the Tumblr. It's a blog. Also, it's a good way I'm really encouraging the students to network as well. I think that's an underutilized skill. It's something that I wish I would have been encouraged to use much earlier. But I have them post the work to these blogs, and I really stress the fact that, get them into the habit of networking and developing their skills of reaching out to a wider audience at a young age. I think that's very, very important in today's world of how you're going to communicate and just continuously developing those skills.
Thanks. So you've heard a lot tonight about nuts and bolts at the beginning of the presentation. This is some more of the jazzy stuff, the more exciting things you've heard from Ethan and now from Mr. Allen. Do you have any questions at this point for Mr. Allen?
No, very impressive on what the students are doing.
Yeah.
I just wanted to comment on how it's very inclusive. You mentioned the case of a student who had artistic skills, but was hesitant about using the technical side.
Yep.
That draws them in. I can also see it in the case of someone like me who never got beyond doing stick figures in art class to provide them a creative outlet here.
Absolutely.
So it encompasses a lot of people who could benefit from this type of
I
program.
mean, the main thing that I encourage with my students is there's no reason to come in here with a preconceived notion of where you think you are technically or creatively. We're all going to work together, and you're going to be very surprised at your results.
That's great.
Thank you.
I want to come sit in.
Hey, could you tell?
Couple comments.
What did he?
You answered a few of them, because when I saw Katie Bradford's, one of her award-winning pieces. Katie's also involved in the drama department, and the drama department, I know Zach LaCroix has done some of the advertisements, the posters and things like that, and Steve Bergman engages the kids to try to do some of that, but with some of what you're putting out here, it'd be great to be able to post stuff to the website, and these kids being able to do banner ads and things like that. If we can utilize it, maybe even engage the newspaper and do a spotlight on students and show some of the artwork and
Absolutely.
Maybe a weekly thing where we can get a sponsor for the spotlight on students or something. I don't know.
Well, it's too bad Caroline
Good stuff.
wasn't.
She'll be coming at another school committee meeting. We'll be featuring that.
Great work. I love it. And just at the end, when you finished up with the networking, it's invaluable.
Oh, yeah.
No matter what path kids take beyond Littleton High School.
Yeah.
The only caution I have is the sites that you're going out to. Tumblr, I'm familiar with it, but there's going to be questions probably from parents saying, what.
Well, a lot of the students had these accounts before they even came into the class. I mean, I understand that could be
Cyber safety.
be a concern,
I just
but
want to make sure that
Sure.
we're aware of that.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And along with the work that John does, next door, we have Emily Hosfeld, who's our experienced art teacher. And we have a number of art courses that are more fundamental, maybe people are more familiar with. And one of the courses that lots of our students take is Art Foundations. And this is just a sample of some of the work. I'm not going to get into any detail because I couldn't do it justice like Emily or John could, but I'll just show you some pictures or some drawings and some sculptures that students have done at our high school over the course of the last couple of years. And many of our students, for a small high school, we send a fair amount on to art school. And I think that's a credit to the well-roundedness and the comprehensive nature of our school. Despite being small, we're able to offer a lot of different things. And that's what we're featuring here tonight. So ceramics, you can see here a number of things that students have done. A lot of these items will be featured, and new ones as well, will be featured at our May Art Show, the same night as the spring concert in May that I'm sure Ethan will be performing at, right? Okay, there we go. Functional. You see more sculpture work, the portraits in clay. Just go back for a second. I think there's a little bit of a delay. There we go. You see some work there, some teapots. Ms. Hosfeld's done a fair amount of work with that. Kids have a lot of fun making those. Different funny pictures, it seems, but it's always kind of neat to go down and see the kids carving this out at the beginning stages when they just, you see them digging into the eye sockets and making it happen. Then later on, the glaze comes on and it gets more and more, see different stages. Painting, drawing, a little bit of a wild picture there. Someone. Art portfolio, you might have seen the one on the upper left. That was featured in our high school by Ella Harvey a few years back. And it won a competition, I believe, and a number of other things. Fairly impressive stuff that our kids are capable of. For a small high school, we offer AP Studio Art. We have a teacher who's trained in that, as well as AP Art History. And you can see some work here that students have done in AP Studio Art. We also have a course called Art Portfolio that students who are really interested in art school, they can do an intensive, almost independent study and develop a portfolio for presentation to admissions committee for art school. And they do that under the tutelage of their art teacher, whether it be, in this case now, Mr. Allen or Ms. Hosfeld. Boston Globe Scholastic Art Competition, I believe our superintendent mentioned the winners at a previous school committee meeting, and some of these are featured here. So you can see some by Emily Malone this year, Chandana Auger last year, received a national award. Jen Goldstein, you can see her work in the upper right. Megan McCann's work, Chloe Shelford's work there, as well as Caroline McCann. And that's just some sample artwork. What I'd like to do now is ask Mr. Miskinis to come up and have the two students join us to present around Model UN. Haley Gates and Liz Bronier are here. And Mr. Miskinis will also elaborate on some exciting things happening at the high school. We have a new history display that's celebrating our town's anniversary coming up in 2014. And you're going to love it. If you haven't seen it yet, come by and see some historical stuff from Littleton High School of the past. And Mr. Miskinis is also going to talk about the new research skills initiative in the history curriculum.
Good evening. Before I speak, I'd like to have Haley and Liz speak about their experiences with Model UN. So, Haley and Liz.
Hello, my name is Liz Imbrogna. I'm a senior at Littleton High School, and this is my second year participating in Littleton's Model United Nations program. Model United Nations has not only provided me with the opportunity to familiarize myself with international affairs in an interesting manner, but has also provided me with the opportunity to reevaluate my opinions and form opinions on these affairs through research and through evaluating the rhetoric of other representatives. Also, my participation in Model United Nations has allowed me to discover and to explore the power of multilateral action. And through this, I've learned how people approach the same solution in different ways, and how if we compromise and combine these solutions, we can create a super solution, for lack of a better word, that can help more people than any of the individual solutions that we have created could on their own. And I will turn it over to Haley.
Hi, I'm Haley Yates. I'm also a senior at Littleton High School, and this is also my second year in Model United Nations. So also, for those of you who don't know, Model United Nations is a club that we have, and Mr. Miskinnis is our club advisor, and we simulate the formalities and the debate of what the United Nation would be, whether that is if we're in subsets of committees or if we meet on a weekly basis and we have one topic at hand, and we go through formalities like moderated and unmoderated caucuses, where we are all designated a country to represent, or in some cases a person. And it's great. We get to draft resolutions and position papers, and it's real life skills, if that is what your life would be. But Model UN, like Lizzie, has given me such a heightened sense of international relations and affairs that had I not been involved in the club, I wouldn't know how to seek out news sources and interpret the current events that are going on in our world. And we actually both have the opportunity to go to, I think this is a picture of some of the conferences that we can go to. I've been to some at MIT, Brown, and we both recently went to one at BC High, where we are and we're in different committees, and we fend for ourselves, but we learn to create such cogent and clear arguments, whether it's something you agree with that or something that you wouldn't as normally go up in front of everybody and say this position that you're voicing from this country you've been assigned. It's such a unique and incredible experience, and both of us have learned so much and gained so much knowledge. And also, unlike a lot of high school clubs, it continues very actively at the college level, and I think that's an awesome thing to go into college, especially for me, who plans on studying a form of political science, to go in to have this background information and tools to interpret the current events and to know the parliamentary procedures. It's really great.
Thank you. Do you have any questions for Liz?
Yeah, any questions for us?
Haley? You've heard about Model UN, I know before.
I think it's great. I participated in college, and I think it's fantastic that you have
Oh,
at the high
awesome.
school level. It's just what countries have you guys represented?
The one I remember, I was just at a conference where we did a historic debate where I was Ambrose Burnsides during the Civil War, the American Civil War. Yes, and I've also represented Estonia, South Africa, Nigeria, many different countries.
Yeah, I've had
So how do you do your research when you're given a position you know nothing about?
For the most, usually if we go to an organized conference, there is a dais set up where there's proctors of your conference, and they give you a base knowledge. Okay, here's what's going on, here's what your country would think, but then they give you resources to go to websites, to research, and then it's really about how you interpret them and how you can present them to an audience. So recently I had to represent Malaysia in an LGBT rights committee, where Malaysia is one of the most homophobic nations in our world, along with Indonesia. So it was interesting. So I had to be so vigorous and so vehemently have this very controversial stance on something. So it's
Incredibly challenging.
yeah, it's definitely a challenge.
And I just want to reiterate something that Dr. Harrington said about us having so many opportunities for such a small school. I really believe that Model UN is one of those opportunities, but also if you look into other programs that we have, such as VHS, we're able to explore a lot of things that you would only expect at a big high school, and I think that's one of the strengths of Littleton.
Oh yeah, I mean, just listening to Mr. Allen's presentation, like, wow, that's incredible.
These are two seniors,
Yeah.
and very excited about the high school. It's always nice to have student testimony. I know that you've asked for that, so we wanted to bring it to you tonight. And thank you, Liz. Thank you, Haley.
It's our Monday.
Yes.
Well, thank you
Thank
so
you so
much.
much.
Appreciate you coming out.
What opportunities do you have when you get back to school with your peers to help educate them on some of the things you've learned? Because you've gone out and researched some things that I'm going to imagine most of the kids in school have not researched. You're getting deeper into certainly some political issues, governmental issues, things like that, social, et cetera. Do you have opportunities to speak with them, and not just merely in passing at lunch or any kind of structure?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely, I know we're both involved in some AP history classes where we're,
There you are.
where we are given the opportunity to have this platform to talk about these things that are relevant, but also, I think, I don't know, I think we too are personally very actively involved in, these current events, so, it's fun for us to talk to our friends about what's going on in the world, so, and we can totally sit down and just, say, wow, did you know, Lithuania's nuclear weapons are on the rise, so.
Actual conversations that we have, yes. Also, it's really interesting to be able to bring in this knowledge to classes. For example, I was able to use research on Estonia that I did for the Dartmouth conference to our new economics course, which was really fun and really interesting. And the kids that participate in Model United Nations can bring this to our classrooms and to our classes, and it's very exciting to have these different perspectives on an international scale.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Liz.
So Haley and Liz are probably too modest to note this, but they actually both won top awards in committees they are in conferences that they participated in this year. So that should be noted. They, along with their peers, have done an excellent job this year and in the past years. So, as has already been noted, we've spoken about Model UN a great deal, so I won't add anything else to that. But I would like to spend a little bit of time discussing a new initiative at the high school regarding research in particular. So I often suggest to my students when they're writing a paper or if they're composing a speech to begin with a hook, some sort of statement that is exciting, something that is thought-provoking. So I know, like it seems, I'm going to blatantly ignore my own advice by beginning this piece by quoting a portion of the text from our school improvement plan, but I do want to explain why I and my colleagues actually find this text to be quite exciting. But first, I will.
You already got us hooked.
But first, I'll quote. So from the second page on the curriculum portion, the third item reads, investigate how research skills and research paper writing are taught in grades 9 through 12. Document current practices and make recommendations, align with NEASC expectations and rubrics. Now, beyond this brief statement, or maybe I should say in this brief statement, my colleagues and I see an opportunity. In particular, an opportunity to really further the mission of the History and Social Sciences Department. And I should make a note. I know that oftentimes within, I think within popular culture, we still have this image of Ferris Bueller's Day Off, kind of like Ben Stein sort of history, like droning on and on. But really, at the core of history and social science education within LHS is evidence evaluation, like being able to really approach evidence and make sense of it. And so we look at this text as an opportunity to really, not just to, again, as the text says, just to see what we're doing and to document it, but to go beyond that and to create something that will better serve our students in evaluating evidence. So I should note, too, that our students already do an excellent job of analyzing point of view, contextualizing evidence, being able to draw cause and effect relationships out of diverse evidence, particularly in classroom activities. But it's particularly difficult to do this when students are gathering their own evidence. So to illustrate this problem, and I quote, it was 1886, and in New York Harbor, workers were constructing the Statue of Liberty. 800 miles away, another great American symbol was about to be unveiled. This quote is taken from the beginning of what's known as the Heritage Timeline, which is a history of Coca-Cola maintained by the Coca-Cola Company on its website. Interestingly, this kind of source often finds its way into research papers in a way, or in a fashion that I would describe as being uncritical. So for instance, this sort of source might be quoted as, well, simply being as kind of a gospel of truth, this is what happened. Or perhaps other sources are not used to corroborate what this particular source is saying. Or, in another sense entirely, there's a missed opportunity, because while this might not be the best source to gather the most basic factual evidence of Coca-Cola, it would be a great source if one were asking the research question, how does Coca-Cola use its past to market its products? So these are difficult skills, these are important skills, these are both 20th and 21st century skills, and we want to do a better job being able to guide our students in this evaluation of evidence. So, to meet this goal, the History and Social Science Department aims to have every student at LHS in grades 9, 10, and 11 to create significant research products in each year. And we hope to do this through the creation of a codified research curriculum, one that would serve as a common touchstone for the department, for our students, and potentially for the school. And again, our students are already engaged in the process of research to some extent. Some of our students in some classes do write substantial research papers. Other students take on smaller, more contained research projects, but we don't really teach research in a way that is truly uniform, consistent, and most importantly, cumulative. So we hope that with this curriculum that we hope to create, that the process of gathering and evaluating and writing about evidence is something that can build on itself from 9th grade into 10th grade and into 11th grade in a way that produces more sophisticated and more nuanced products. So I should stress that this goal really does remain a goal right now. This has been a conversation we've been having throughout the year. We've begun the process of gathering materials to use as kind of like a baseline for our own curriculum. I do want to point out that one of our new teachers, Olivia Setterland, has been particularly helpful in gathering information from other schools to help us in making our own. And we've also created a few resources so far this year, such as a wiki that helps guide students through the process of evaluating evidence, particularly evidence that is online. Say, like, for instance, like the Coca-Cola Heritage Timeline. So even though it's not complete yet, and it's still mostly in kind of its development stage, it is something that we do intend to roll out in the fall of next year. And we've indicated this through revisions to our program studies, which state that in every class there'll be some significant research product that is required of students. So to close, we in the department often say, and we mean, that we're here to prepare students for citizenship. But if we are serious about this claim, and I do want to stress we are serious about it, this research curriculum, or rather the evaluation of evidence, is a democratic imperative. It's a democratic imperative to make our students, or help our students, become critical consumers of information. And we hope that through the creation of this curriculum, we'll not only meet and exceed our school improvement plan goals, but also the overall goal of the department. So if anyone has any questions or comments about the, or exclamations about the research curriculum at this point, I'd be happy to take them.
I like the approach that you're taking about trying to get the students to critically think about the sources that they're seeing. Back in the day, we pull out the encyclopedia at the library. That was our source, and that was gospel. But you don't know what you're finding on the internet these days. And, but people are putting not just students either. People in the rest of the world are citing things as being being factual, and when really it's just what somebody happened to post out there. So that's good that you're trying to get them to make those distinctions.
And we also want them to look at encyclopedias and other tertiary sources in a certain way. And I don't mean to castigate Wikipedia. I feel like Wikipedia is the usual target here. But even say, like more recognized sources like Britannica or something along those lines, those sorts of tertiary sources should really be starting points for research, not endpoints. And unfortunately, I think that, I don't really know what the reason why is, but there is a tendency to use those as endpoints rather than starting points. So yeah, it's certainly about thinking, regardless if it's print or online, thinking about evidence in different ways and hopefully more mature ways.
Yeah, you touched on a couple of things, and I'll expand it to a few other things just for there. I liked when you were talking about, you know, not having it just like history focused, coupled across the subject matter pieces there, because I think it's not just within one subject you need to be able to write a research paper.
Mm-hmm.
It touches into all of the disciplines, and then that brings in terms of the theme, thinking about the theme of cross-coupling the disciplines. I don't want to go with multidiscipline, but like even in the art, there's mathematics to art. There's the, you know, the math behind those manipulations to the visualizations of what they are. They're two totally different skill sets, but there's an interrelationship that once students start seeing some of it, it's not to say they have to do each of them, but drawing all of those pieces across there, and then how the skills in one area help and apply in another area as being a theme within the pieces there. And you touched on a lot of that when you were talking about the research, how to do research there. And I really like to see those kinds of themes as we keep going on here.
I just have a comment. I think that you mentioned that the girls are modest, but I think you too are modest. We certainly have a lot of talented kids, and we've seen a few of them tonight. But it takes talented professionals like yourself that are critical in harvesting those skills, and we've seen it in the few years that you've been in front of us. We've seen a lot of good stuff.
And you know, no false modesty intended, but I do want to stress that this has been a departmental conversation. Like I was saying, and certainly I've been a part of it, but and I certainly won't deny that. But like I mentioned, Olivia Sutherland, Susan Harvey, Laura Storm, our curriculum coordinator Beth Morgan, have all had very substantial contributions to this. So, but I appreciate you saying that.
Talented department. Thank you.
Somewhat echoing Chuck, you are kind to ensure that those folks are given credit to. Please go back and commend them also for us, as I
Certainly.
commend you right now, because Bill, you do a good job for us. You do a great job for the kids, and really appreciate that. No, I'm not going to let you say anything.
That's going to be a battle here.
When you go on with setting up the research department, or whatever you may ultimately call it, you know, the opportunity to go to archives and the like, and I know sometimes a lot of the stuff is being certainly put on the web that's very legitimate and fills your primary source requirement, but sometimes, you know, the smell, the atmosphere, the tactile touch too. Yeah, and this is something else that we got to get, it becomes a budget issue. I got that, John, already, so. But think about that if you haven't, or if you thought that might be somewhat of an impediment because of dollars, don't dismiss it at least out of hand initially. Give us the opportunity to dismiss that part, okay?
Well, I mean, that's a perfect segue if you'll allow me to talk a little bit about
Yes,
the
sir.
display. Okay, I think this is, I really appreciate you bringing that up. I do want to mention quickly before the display, one of the other projects that I'm very pleased to see students really succeed in is that our AP students have really done a great job last year and currently this year in creating local history projects where they've been going to the Littleton Historical Society and being amongst the physical documents in addition to any sort of like digitally archived documents. So thankfully they've had that experience, but that is of course a very small portion of our school. So this year we've been very lucky, and by we I mean the entire school have been very lucky to enter into a partnership with the Littleton Historical Society, a number of community volunteers, along with students, faculty, and others, to bring some of those source materials to the high school itself. So right now in the main lobby of the high school, we have about 90% of an exhibit on the history of Littleton High School completed. The purpose of this exhibit is, well, I guess severalfold. In that, on the one hand, it's meant to help kind of bring the collections of the society to the school and to the public, because the Historical Society itself is a beautiful building, but most people don't see the stuff that's in it. I really mean that purposefully, the stuff, the physicality of it all. So that's one purpose. But the other purpose, as I think Dr. Harrington alluded to earlier, was to help commemorate and to help celebrate the tercentenary, which is rapidly approaching. And I hope this will help to raise awareness, not just amongst the students or the faculty, but really the public, because that space is very well trafficked for a whole host of events. So, and of course, the other overriding purpose of it all is to help students, to help faculty, help anyone who sees it, to really consider continuity and change in our school. We've really, and by we, I should really say, our two student volunteers, Chloe Shelford and Claire Gaspashkin, have really done a great job taking elements of the current high school, whether it's academics, classrooms, extracurriculars like band or like the arts, and taking their historical counterparts from various time periods, the late 19th century, early 20th century, mid-20th century, and representing them in the display. So it really makes for a really kind of compelling display of how the school has, on the one hand, changed, but at the same time, been able to remain remarkably the same. This has been the creation of many hands. Like I was mentioning earlier, there's a number of stakeholders involved in this. As I mentioned earlier, Chloe Shelford and Claire Gaspashkin have done yeoman's work in doing research, collecting the materials, displaying them. We've been very fortunate in having the help of John Allen in helping with the digital photography. Many of the items are photographs of items in the Historical Society, in addition to some physical artifacts themselves. And that couldn't have happened without his help. Caroline McCann did a lot of the photography. We've been very lucky to have a number of Historical Society volunteers, including David Whitcomb and others, to help us. Susan Harvey's been another major help, and I'm probably forgetting other people who have been really helpful. But in any case,
Mr. Mike Lynn.
and of course Mike Lynn in helping us achieve the space requirements for the display. Yeah, we have some great stuff. Like I said, it's not completely done. We don't have the captions yet. There's still a prom dress from 1944 that needs to go in there. But we have, letter jackets from the 40s. We have textbooks from the 19th century. We also have, now this is particularly interesting as we're thinking about the new high school schedule in the future. Yeah. We have a bell schedule from the late 19th century, and I'll have everyone note that the first bell was at 9 a.m. So, and history class met twice. But yeah, it's a great display. The students and all the stakeholders have done an amazing job. We hope to have the whole thing wrapped up by next week. I have been saying that for a few weeks now, but for the most part, it's about 90% done, and it's still very impressive. So I'd recommend coming to see it if you have a chance. Does anyone have any questions about it?
No, that's excellent. You mentioned tercentennial celebration for next year. I've spoken to both the superintendent and your principal about a senior project for a student or students to segue into the legacy subcommittee of the tercentennial committee. So hopefully that's something that can come to fruition. They'd be great. Some of the things you just mentioned, it sounds like certainly some seeds are already there for perhaps a student or two who's a junior this year and then for a senior next year.
Absolutely.
So thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Bill.
Sometimes, these presentations at our school improvement mid-year updates can be a bit bland and dry. A lot of nuts and bolts stuff happening. But that's where the business of the school really gets done. We create the structures, put things in place, whether it's when we talk about these general categories of curriculum, instruction, assessment, professional development, climate, culture. Sometimes it gets lost on people what we're doing. But there really is a design and purposefulness, an intent behind what we're trying to achieve with our students and the type of school we're trying to create. And with that in mind, I'd just like to turn back to a slide that Mrs. Temple had presented to you earlier, in closing, about a major initiative that's also launched aside from research. We have formed a Bell Schedule study group. The superintendent and I had some conversations right when he arrived about what can we do, how do we structure time, how can we better use our time efficiently to maximize learning and to benefit student learning. And so a cross-disciplinary group has formed, members of a variety of departments, and we are meeting on a regular basis between now and the goal, we have a timeline in mind to meet between now and December of 2013 and look at different Bell schedules from the top performing high schools in the state and see how they use time and see how we can adjust that for appropriately for the size of our school and mainly the enrollment we have. It's some of the top performing schools have much more many more students, so we have to adjust for that. But we're looking at how we use lab time, how we use extended blocks, and what we can do to improve student learning. That's the whole point. And the goal is actually to have we anticipate, based on early discussions already, that there'll be some type of significant update to our Bell schedule when it comes to the existing block of time. Anything beyond, from what we understand from the contract, when it comes to the time change, Bill had talked about 9 a.m. That would be a negotiated issue. I think if we were to change with the Teachers Association, if we were to change the start and stop time of the school day, or the beginning and the end. But the bell time, the time that we have right now, between roughly 7:20 or 7:25 and 1:56 to be exact, or 2 o'clock roughly. How do we use that time? How can we how do we use it during the course of a week? Lots of different configurations out there. The members of this group, of the study group, also went to a flexible scheduling workshop that was phenomenal. We learned a lot from that, and we're bringing that back to the faculty and to the study group to see what we can do. So expect some change here in the future. I don't know how significant it will be, whether it will be just a tweak or in the end, or a really significant change. But we do expect to, we hope to unveil some type of new bell schedule that will benefit the students in the future. And Steve, if you just wouldn't mind just going to the technology page. You talk a lot sometimes, and you ask, thankfully, about resources and what we can do there, what you can do as a school committee for the different schools in the district. At the high school, we do feel a really pressing need for improvement with our technology, whether it's in our program of studies offerings, whether computers, coding, and digital animation. Some of the courses we want to offer to students to both be a compelling choice for students who might be looking at alternative high schools in the area, but also to just improve the whole overall learning experience for students as they prepare for college and career. So there's the technology offerings, but there's the infrastructure and the equipment that's necessary to make that happen, as well as the personnel, the skilled personnel to be in place. So as we go forward throughout the rest of this year and into next, I think we'll have to have some really important conversations around technology. I know we're doing this at all the buildings. We talk about it at our administrative council meetings regularly, how we can improve as a district. But my job tonight is to present to you about the high school. And I'd like to advocate strongly for the improvement of our tech. We're going to build some things into our school improvement plan, but we need to have Wi-Fi at the high school. In order to enable students to use their own devices, or also to have every one of us, a lot of us have laptops or iPads now. The students are going to be coming up to the high school in the future with that expectation that they can take out their personal device and use it to take notes, or just to collaborate on different projects. We want to make sure that we're enabled and capable from a network perspective, general overall infrastructure, and just all that capability. These are the types of conversations. I know they're not new to you. I know the superintendent talks about them all the time. But as principal tonight, I wanted to make sure I made mention of it, because it is a significant need in the near future and for the long-term success of the high school. But as you can tell, we're very excited about a lot of great initiatives. There's a lot going on at this high school that you can feel proud of. And we do keep that ethic of continuous improvement, and we're always trying to look to see how we can improve and get better. So I thank the students and the staff who have come out tonight to present to you, and to all the faculty who are not able to be here, who make the daily success of the high school possible. So I'll be happy to answer any questions you have, but we covered a lot. Thank you for your extended time.
Yeah, just one comment, and don't throw it up there as direction, because it does involve changes. You talk about the bell schedule and recognizing that there's contractual items that are in place that set start times and stop times. But my understanding is there's also research that indicates that might not be what we have, might not be optimal. And I guess I don't necessarily want to have that taken off the table for the discussions. It may not be practical at the end, but I think we probably need to be informed as to what is the proper schedule. We might not be able to change it, but I think we need to be informed. At least I do.
I can tell you.
Well, no, in terms of, should we...
The study group would make, say, this is worth further exploration based on our findings or something,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bob. I was just wondering if you had any thoughts, or could share anything with how things are going, preparing for the accreditation.
Well, smoothly so far. We're getting closer and closer, May 5th through the 8th. We're hopeful for your participation in some ways, particularly on the Sunday, May 5th. In the afternoon, I'll give you the exact, you'll be getting an invitation from me in the near future. But right now, we're moving right along with our preparations. lots of little details now. We have a steering committee that's been guiding the whole process. We met just today to go over lots of little details. And someone our school librarian, who's been a key player in organizing our effort, described it as planning a huge wedding. But from her perspective, that's what it was reminding her of, especially as she gets closer and closer to the date, because there's so many little details. So we're grateful for the steering committee and all the work of the faculty as we get down to the wire. But so far, we feel we're on track, to answer your question most directly.
Invite them to town meeting on the 6th.
With the evaluation committee, I think
Is it not busy enough?
Yeah, that'll be good.
A comment to follow up on what Daryl's talking about with the bell schedule and then start times, stop times.
Yeah.
There has been a ton of research done on it.
Yep.
You're mentioning that you've gone out to other districts within Massachusetts. Most of the successful districts that have changed start times are in the Midwest, mostly in Minneapolis, St. Paul area. I always talk about collaborating with other districts. I think that's great that you're doing it. We've got a resource who left here last year. Marion Dyer used to do a project with her class, sociology class, every year to ask them to kind of make an argument like Kaylee and Liz were talking about.
Yep.
Whether they agreed with it or didn't agree with it. They got, we'll start an hour earlier, we'll start an hour later, we'll keep it the same. And the kids had to make that argument. That was one of the exercises she did in her class year after year.
Yeah.
She might be a great resource for you guys to reach.
Easy to
out
reach. I know where she is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Thank you.
Relative, are you going to talk to the Wi-Fi? I committed to reaching out to some resources relative to the Wi-Fi, see if we can get some grants, donations, whatever. I had some success with Cisco. They have a couple of asks of us, so I've got to get some stuff back to them. Steve's responded to me. I need to get with Mike McEcker, and then if I can get some stuff, to use Bill's term, from some resources within our department. I can go back to Cisco, and if all they can give us is some engineering time and they can engineer our system for us, then we can go out and save that money to get more resource. So that's something that's in progress. And then you mentioned the funding.
Yeah, we're addressing that through capital this year.
Right, and then we're hopeful for that to go through without smoothly. So
FinCom is very supportive, as are the Board of Selectmen, first the Board of Selectmen.
very appreciative of their support. So thank you.
Anything else, Kelly, on that?
No, just thank you for actualizing your improvement plan, and it's nice to be able to not look at tables and rhetoric, but to actually have two-way dialogue in terms of what's happening in the school. So thank you, and please thank your staff.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Cheryl, thank you.
Thank you. Bill again.
Thanks, Steve.
John. Thank everybody back there, and
Thank you.
looking forward to the 5th meeting with MEASC. We'll all be there.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Kelly, let's do this, if it's okay with you. I'm going to get back to the Eagle stuff.
Number 4, new business.
Yeah, let's get the LTO taken care of,
Sure.
please. Good. Come on up, Mike and Cindy, please. Go ahead, Kelly.
Sorry.
Go ahead, LTO.
Okay. Cindy had sent an email on behalf of the Littleton Track Organization, and had a project in mind that she actually ran across Mike Lynn and myself. And we certainly endorse the project, and the project is to build a brick patio and have people donate to have their names on the brick, which I think is a great idea. It's certainly an area of the track that needed something done, and I think it will be very functional and usable. And the second request was to put up an information board that would be locked and updated, and the upkeep would be the responsibility of the LTO. So in terms of my support as a superintendent, I think it's a great idea. Thank you very much for coming up with a plan. And since Mike is here, I'm not going to speak for Mike. I'll ask Mike to make a few comments in that area.
Yeah, basically agree with everything that you've just said. Cindy came up with a great plan that I think will be aesthetically pleasing and also very functional. The the idea of having the stamped or engraved bricks, because there is an area between the garage and the track that somehow was left off the job that is not going to be very functional as far as transporting equipment across, because many of the pieces of equipment have wheels, and they're going to sink into the ground that's currently there. So this is a great solution, and hats off to Cindy for more work with our new track.
Questions, or?
Anything Cindy wants to say?
If you have any questions, I mean, the LTO met with both, there's a company in New Hampshire that does the engraved brick projects. They've done a lot of them. If you go to their website, it's Pavlock. And so they're very experienced. They do the sandblasting, and we feel very confident that they'll do a great job for us. And the installation will be done by local company, Erickson, in Littleton, who I have a lot of personal experience with, but also they've done, you know, a lot of work in Littleton, and so we think between the two of them, we get a very quality project, and you can all start thinking about what you'd like on your brick. Each line can have 15 letters and spaces, up to 3 lines per 4x8 brick, and
Bob, any questions? No questions. Darryl, I think it's a great idea.
Also.
I had to think of what I'm going to put on mine.
oh, actually, I do have one question for y'all, because obviously we would be, you know, targeting individuals mostly. People can put, you know, their names on it, their family name on it. They can put their, you know, class year, those kind of things. But I did want to ask if you are open to having, if a company wanted to buy a brick, you know, or if you only want it to be individuals. So it would be, you know, Littleton Rotary Club, or Active Toyota of Littleton, or, you know, whatever. It wouldn't be any message. It would just be the company name. So that would be something we could either not target businesses, or.
Let's not say no yet.
Okay.
We're not any answer yet on that, please, if that's okay with you all.
I agree.
Let's think on that one a little bit, just because of the way we've been developing the advertising policy.
Right.
We're just seeking some consistency. I mean, it's a good idea, obviously, but maybe many companies would want to participate. Let us think on that one, please.
Okay.
So to understand the scope, to be clear, we're talking about digging up some sod nearby the track in the shed.
It's not sod.
An area, laying a base, and putting engraved bricks down, and then also a bulletin board of sorts. The LTO is going to run the whole fundraising effort, do all the contracting to purchase the bricks, get the engraving done, get them laid in the location there. And then ongoing maintenance, will we take that up? And I imagine it's minimal at that.
Right.
But is that a responsibility we'll take up from schools to maintain the area afterward, or are we going to ask the LTO to do that?
I would certainly.
I think the
pitch
bulletin
in.
board might be more, I mean, the bricks, that area of the ground, I think would be maintained by whoever's going to maintain the area of the track anyway, right?
When we had our first email exchange on this, I talked about maybe an MOA or whatever, MOU. Let's explore that. It doesn't need to be a book, if it's a page maybe, just to lay out a couple of those things so that it is clear between the LTO and the schools. And Kelly, whoever you want working in the schools, your call. But I'd ask that, please, at least give us an opportunity to look at it and maybe say it's not needed, or if we think it's needed, we'll execute it. Is that okay? Okay with everybody else too?
Yeah, but I think, to reiterate, well, don't let me overspeak, but do you think that once the project is done and the bricks are down, I can't imagine that the LTO is going to be coming out sweeping the bricks?
That's right, as long as it's clear,
Right.
and if we,
Actually, we may, because I think we're the people most concerned about the maintenance. I mean, obviously, all the money that we're raising with the road race every year is for track maintenance, so, you know, we're putting a lot of work into that. We have a vested interest in keeping the whole area maintained, so I wouldn't be surprised if you'd see us out there with our sand and brooms. I mean, because really the only maintenance on the brick patio is once or twice a year. You need to kind of sweep sand in between the things. I mean, we have a brick walkway, and we've had it, you know, for 10 years by the same guy that's doing this one, and that's really the extent of the maintenance. So,
yeah, these are popular, we've seen in many other places.
Yeah.
And indeed, they're
Right.
enduring.
right.
How many bricks are you looking at, Cindy?
Well, are you talking about how many engraved bricks or how many bricks in the project total?
You have an area that, I mean, if
We
you
have an
maxed it
area-
out, if you maxed it out, how many bricks would it be?
Well, it's 720 square feet approximately.
Quick, Darryl, do the math.
And
4 by 8
basically,
bricks.
to fund the project, we'd have to sell approximately 150 bricks.
Okay.
So if we take off use,
What price have you picked then, when you say that?
it's going to be $75 if you want 2 lines of engraving and $100 if you want 3 lines of engraving. And then there's also a bigger 8 by 8 size that we may do for $200. But the basic 4 by 8 brick will be 75 or 100 depending on the engraving that you
How
want.
loquacious you get. Not bad, huh? Listen, every once in a while.
Okay.
And the installment would take about 4 days.
All right. Any other questions, Cindy? No. All right, so our action for an agenda item, maybe within the next couple of weeks. When do you want to try to put this to bed?
Well, we would like to begin advertising, as soon as possible. Obviously, the project will not get put down until we've sold the necessary number of bricks. We'd love to do it this summer if we were able to have sold them by then, but we would like to begin advertising it as soon as we can. It's kind of.
But our decision is going to help or hurt you one way or the other here on the advertising piece. In other words, if companies, corporate entities are allowed to.
Oh, yeah, well,
bricks.
we could go ahead and begin it with individuals and families in town, and then if, we may not even, if we have a good turnout and a good response to it, we might not have to explore that. So we could start there, and then.
Put it on our April 4th meeting.
Okay.
Further discussion.
I don't know if you want to, April 4th, we'll have it on the agenda item, or an agenda item if you want to come.
So I guess, I'm not clear, can we begin to advertise for just the individuals?
Oh, yeah.
You're saying yes?
Yeah.
Okay,
We don't need a vote or anything on that, do we?
No.
okay.
I think eventually we need to accept it as a gift. Right.
When it's completed.
We'll vote that way. So when you're ready, just press, please. Don't worry about anything we're thinking at this point, because we're probably not thinking. Thanks, Cindy, again. Appreciate everything you've done with the track.
Thank you.
Yes, thanks, Cindy.
All right, you want to go budget update for FY13? Ready for that?
Sure.
Sure, I have to follow that, but okay.
At least you
That's
guys
good
follow
for
the
you.
kids.
Yeah, boring numbers,
Better than following the kids.
I guess. So, you have in your packet, and it's on the screen, if people can read it, I apologize if it's a little tiny, but, so you have a year-to-date FY13, which is the current year, year-to-date budget summary. As I usually do in a nutshell, I'll just talk high level at this point in time and then answer specific questions. So we are 8 months of the way through the school fiscal year, which is July to June. So it's 2/3 of the way through the school year. You can see from the summary that we have expended approximately 64% of the funds. So we are on track and on target. You'll notice that the special ed line is expended at 72%. Again, I will remind everyone that that's because we prepay some of the case tuition assessments and some of the transportation assessments for special ed. So that's why that number is so high. The other reason that number is so high is because if you remember, the school committee allocated $500,000 to come out of the circuit breaker to help pay for the tuitions. The out-of-district tuitions, we have not tapped into that funds yet because we are waiting to expend all of these appropriated monies first before we tap into the revolving fund, the circuit breaker fund. So a quick update on the circuit breaker fund. So right now, if we look at our out-of-district expenditure trends, we are projected to spend $1.6 million in out-of-district tuitions. We budget $1.2 million out of our appropriated funds. So that leaves, right now, we are looking to expend $483,000 out of the circuit breaker fund. We had budgeted $500,000. So again, we're on track at this point in time, but there are some students that are being evaluated now that may have some placement changes. So that may have an impact. I don't know what those are yet, but we're watching that and working with Diana Peterson to keep an eye on that. So.
The amount expended again, please?
Well, we expect, the expected amount that we, to expend is $1.6 million for out-of-district tuition. We budget in the appropriated budget $1.2 million, with the remaining coming out of the circuit breaker fund, which is the $500,000.
Yeah, but tell me what you anticipate using on a circuit breaker.
$483,000. So again, so other than watching that special ed line, we haven't had any surprises this year, which is good. Again, we're watching the utilities. We were hoping that winter would be done here, but it seems to be back. So, you know, we're watching those utility lines, and maybe there's some savings in that. Maybe there isn't. We're not sure yet. But other than those items, we are on track for FY13. So I'll answer specific questions, or I can do more detail if you want.
No, I looked those over beforehand, so I'm fine.
Just a question on the transportation and busing. Is that typical that we expend the majority of it up front?
Yes, because a lot of that, well, if you remember, this transportation line also includes special ed transportation, and so we pay that in 2 installments for the year, and then we're done paying it for the year. So, right.
I'm going to talk about the school bus following the contract.
I can do that when we talk about the FY14.
Yeah, whenever you think appropriate.
Yeah.
Just, Kelly, please. All right. Anything else for Steve? Steve, real good job, thanks.
So any other questions on the FY13? No, we're good, okay. Do you want me to go right into FY14?
No.
Okay.
We still have to slow down.
Got him jumping.
Let's have a brief recess.
Trying to get it done.
Yeah, we need to huddle. We still have to take a look at item B. And during our last meeting, as a school committee, you had asked us to take a look at what we could do to help fund some of our safety and security recommendations that we brought forth to you. I'm on B, 5 new business, 1B.
Oh, I'm sorry, you're in the agenda.
Right. I tried.
I'm looking at a spreadsheet.
Not always
It's much more fun to watch
the
him
agenda.
scroll that. It's gonna be a carpal tunnel over here.
It's maybe a good time to go into FY14.
I tried.
You did.
Go ahead, please.
So what we did is we combed through all of our accounts, and not just the appropriated budget accounts, but other accounts that we've had over the years. And Steve, to credit of Steve, found a sum of money that was expended a number of years ago for fire alarm upgrades at Shaker Lane School. And there was some money left over, which was never totally expended. So what we're asking for is to have that money redesignated so it can help subsidize the requests that we have from the Safety and Security Committee to take care of some of our recommendations. So it would require an article at the May town meeting, and Chairman Mavella has a article that was passed down to him that would depict the wording that would occur in the warrant.
I just want to expand a little bit, Kelly.
Sure.
Some of the things folks may not be aware of, because some of the things, frankly, we've spoken about in executive session because it deals with the security, physical infrastructure of our buildings, and we'll keep that, and that's an allowed exemption under the open meeting law. Any kind of security concerns or security procedures, equipment, things like that, and upgrades. So that's the genesis of some of what Kelly's speaking about right now. It's a two-pronged approach for us that we've been in communication with the Selectmen and the FinCom on this. Part of it is to take some money from internal school department funds now, and the other is to look at some external reserve funds that the town keeps for certain needs. Tonight, what Kelly is talking about is that first one I just mentioned, internal, and as he mentioned, Steve went back to 2008 to a town meeting. It was November 2008, it wasn't a special town meeting.
Yes.
to see that indeed not all the funds were expended out of a particular warrant article. Money's never been touched, it was appropriated to be used, it just hasn't been used at this point. So we've socialized that with the Board of Selectmen and the FinCom, and right now it seems very amenable, and we're going to be making a motion here for a vote for the school committee to formally take it forward so that we can have the selectmen put a warrant article out at town meeting for this May that would ask the town folks to move that money from that 2008 article to now a 2014 article that we'd be able to use for some of those issues we've been talking about with security. So, did I get that right?
Yes.
Okay.
It's not new money. It's money that's
Well,
already
right.
been approved and out there. They just had to vote to reallocate the use.
Good emphasis, thank you. All right, Darrell?
Yeah, I make a motion that the school committee vote to request the Town of Littleton Board of Selectmen to place on the next town meeting warrant, an article, a vote authorizing the reallocation of remaining funds from the 2008 special town meeting, Article 6, for the Shaker Lane School Fire Alarm Panel to be approved and used for school security issues within the Littleton Public Schools.
Tough said.
Is that?
Second.
Okay, thank you. Okay, motion's made and seconded, I won't repeat it.
Thank you.
Any other discussion?
Darrell made the motion.
Motion by
Okay.
me.
No. Darrell, excuse me, Kelly, is there anything you want to add?
Just that this will certainly not take care of all the costs, but it's going to be very helpful to get us started on the first phase of the project.
Yep.
So,
Okay,
Thank
motion made, seconded, and no further discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, unanimous. And again, thanks, Steve, for digging that up.
Good job, Steve.
But too bad Bill left, because, you know, that's a good example of going to primary sources.
Yeah, that's right.
Practical application for the kids to understand.
Now, since we're on, we just finished a vote on an article, every time we have a severe snowstorm, we always are cognizant of what may happen to our school routes. And our last storm was fast and furious, so to speak, and was really wet in terms of the snow composition. But we're happy to report to you that the integrity of our buildings were not compromised. And you know, it helped that there was some wind, and the latter part of the snow was lighter. But again, we're fortunate that we didn't have to get up there and start shoveling. So far, so good.
Yeah, a couple years ago, I remember that, huh?
Also fortunate with the quick melt at the end of it that there wasn't any
Yes.
flooding or any water damage.
We shoveled one small section just to be proactive, but it wasn't a problem, but we just wanted to avoid a problem if we got additional snow, so.
FY14 budget, I think what we'll do, Steve, is I'll start off and give it a whirl, so to speak, and then you can help me. If they put me into corners, so to speak.
Weeds.
The last two school committee meetings, we've had the pleasure of taking a look at our strategic plans, see how they link to our improvement plans, and then see how they're actualized within our respective schools. So it's been nice to see that tie-in and to not belabor the 3.5, 4 hours we've spent on this. I'd just like to state as a superintendent, I'm very proud of our accomplishments. I'm very proud that we all understand the direction that our district is moving. And it's not just the administrators, it's the teachers also. It's the entire system. Our staffs are involved, they're engaged, and that's the key, in my opinion, to moving school districts forward. And the actualization, the opportunity to see students come to the school committee meeting not only takes a look at our strategic plan and our improvement plans, but it also takes a look at a lot of other skill sets that you wouldn't otherwise see if you were just reading papers. So I'd like to thank everybody that was involved in the process, and I look forward to continued planning for the future and moving our school district forward to ensure that we prepare our students to have the necessary skills to be successful at whatever career path they choose. So, again, just thank you for everybody. Now, I had the, I guess you could say, fortunate or unfortunate pleasure of taking a look at a 1,300-line budget that became very convoluted and maze-like as a result of expanding our chart of accounts through our request and also reorganizing our accounts through cost centers. I can assure you we've created a budget presentation that's well polished that we'll be mailing out tomorrow to you, or emailing more correctly, and it will make a lot of sense. So my task this evening is to try to make sense out of some of this. It is a little complex, and you would need a lot of paper in front of you if you really wanted to follow some of the conversation. I promise I won't go through all 1,300 lines with you, but I will highlight some of the areas and try to explain why it's very difficult to draw accurate comparisons and why the percentages at times are rather insignificant to the big picture. But we had a briefer summary that I believe, Steve, did you hand out the brief summary to them?
I did not, but the main cost center is here.
That might have been easier for you to understand, but then we also thought it'd be nice to see what happens in terms of account lines when you start changing the dependent variables, so to speak. And you can see what we go through when we reorganize 1,300 lines. So I'm going to start off just by looking at our 8 cost summaries, because that makes the most sense when we look at our budget. And our first cost center is obviously regular education, and you have descriptors of what that includes, and it makes sense. It's everything that falls under regular education. And we have a 5.58% projected increase, and most of that would be salary increases. And please remember that we are taking an approach through negotiation with our Teachers Association that we would defer salary for the current year, and we would absorb 2 years of salary during FY14. So the 5.58% would represent that agreement.
Kelly?
Yes.
Can you just make that a little clearer? It's the step increase, not salary.
Sure. Step increases, we worked with our Teachers Association and we deferred step increases for FY13. As a result, we had 2 step increases for FY14, and that resulted in the 5% increase. The second cost center, special education, we have a 5.67% increase. Venture to guess that's probably been the lowest we've seen in 4 years. And I'm going to knock on wood when I say that. When you're reallocating account lines and trying to put everything into cohesive, coherent sections, there are always certain areas that are questionable and gray. In special education, for example, we did not put the Director of Pupil Services salary in there. We left it under central office. Reason being, at this point in time, the Director of Pupil Services does not deal with special education. So rather than start prorating a person's salary out to 4 different places, which makes it very hard to keep track of, we thought we would just consolidate it and put it in one place for easy tracking. Our third cost center, student and staff support, everything from curriculum support, libraries, to technology, nurses. That was our biggest increase. It was 15.87. And a lot of that increase, obviously, was due to step increases. And our nurses grid that we redid with the current contract that we have in place with the Littleton Educators Association. So that made up the bulk of that increase. There was also an increase in support, as we talked as a school committee about, in terms of professional development. We've been able to enhance the amount of money we have to put toward professional development. We also have the task of implementing educator evaluation next year, which is going to require a significant amount of training to get started, ongoing training as we calibrate the instrument throughout next year. So all of that is in that cost center. It just happened this year. That's where most of the action was. Other instruction, curricular and extracurricular activities, 9.9% increase. But again, you have to look at the total. It's 18,000 on a total of 222 or 200. I should say 204,000. That is due to reorganization of some accounts that were in other areas, and also new coaches coming in, and different experience levels for those coaches made up the cost increase, so to speak. System administration, 1.17% increase. School administration, 2.64% increase. Transportation and busing, a 0.09% increase, but we found out recently that our busing bid, our transportation bid more correctly, came in $55,000 higher than anticipated. So we have the task now of working with our finance subcommittee and determining how we're going to absorb that cost, and we'll be certainly coming back to the school committee for further dialogue as we move toward finalization of a recommendation for our budget for FY14. Facility and maintenance line, in the end, a 0.82% increase. Steve is about to unveil his 3-year plan, maintenance plan that I've asked for this year, which will help us be more methodical as we deal with everyday maintenance, and this proactivity will save us money in the long run. Is it where we want it to be yet? No. But you have to remember, our mandate was to create a level services budget, which really doesn't give us a lot of room to go into some of those areas we've had to cut in previous years to make our budgets work. But we're on the right road, and that's what's important at this point in time. Now for the fun. If we go into the document that we emailed you, the first page is under regular education. It's page 310-1. If you look at the percentage columns, that's probably the easiest way to follow me. I'm going to stop at the 69.14, and it takes a look at assistant regular education, teaching assistants at Shaker Lane. That is just a reallocation of account lines and a reallocation of bodies according to needs. It's not an increase in staff. We did not increase staff last year, nor are we this year. We decreased staff, and we're maintaining that decrease that we had last year for the upcoming year. So you have to remember, when we're dealing with teaching assistants, we really are looking at a pre-K to 8 setting. And last year, which made it a little more complicated, is that we had a reduction in force of educational assistants, and as a result we had a RIF clause kick in, which is an experience clause. So with that, and with some ed assistants leaving, with new students coming into the system, students moving out of the system, we have a lot of movement. We have a lot of movement every year, but we had more movement last year with all of those factors coming together. So that's why you'll see a lot of these lines to be very different than they were last year. You also have to remember, when we budget, we're taking staffing profiles in December. So it obviously is not indicative of what we're going to end up with next September. So that kind of explains some of those deviations that you see. And even when all this settles out in future years, you're still going to see some of that movement. Probably not as drastic as you see here. If you go down to it's negative 24.7%, that refers to Russell Street, a reading specialist. Part of our plan for the current FY13 budget year was to reduce from a 1 FTE to a 0.6 FTE, and that cost was actualized as we move forward in the FY14 budget. On to page 2. Near the top of the page 2, the 27.4. The change in percentage, this is librarian salary, the middle school, were due to step increases and an actual correction in the budgeted amount in FY13. So there were two factors at play there. We go down to negative 80. That would be indicative of our high school NEASC allotment. We budgeted $20,000 for the NEASC reaccreditation this year. which we do not need next year, so we took it out of the budget. Third page. Are you gonna, did you want to put that on the screen, or no? Okay.
Wasn't gonna.
Would you,
You want it
School
on the
committee,
screen?
would you like that on the screen?
For the courtesy.
The courtesy of the audience? I think that would be good, so that they don't have to just listen to me, they can have a
Oh, sorry.
visual aid, so to speak. Putting too much pressure on me, Steve.
Sorry about that.
If we go down on the third page to the 25.05%, summer salaries, special education, Shaker Lane, due to the needs of our students for the upcoming year. That's what the increase is a result of. We go down to the 21.62%, still under Shaker Lane, assistant sped assistants. It, again, is indicative of the shift that occurs as we reallocate staff to students. And part of the riffing process also came into play. We continue our journey downward, negative 42.59. That balance of 101,706 is actually dispersed as you go down the page, where you see the 100%, the 57.96, and that would take up the bulk of that money. They were just redistributed to different lines in different schools as our students move up from one grade to another. And anything else on that page is rather minuscule when you look at the amount. Fourth page. Really isn't anything that stands out. Important thing on the fourth page is it just depicts the 5.67% as is indicated in the summary that you already went through with me or saw. That increase in dollar value is $278,853. Page 5, right down to the bottom, almost the bottom of the page, 11.63%. That's guidance, or Russell Street School. Really is a step adjustment and also a budget adjustment. You have to remember, a lot of these salaries before we started doing this year were grouped together. And so when Steve teased them out, it created an opportunity for a little bit of inaccuracy. In the end, the number was the same. The large number was the same, but when we teased it out, they changed, so that when we combined them, it was still the same amount. So it didn't affect our budget, but now it's just a refinement that needs to occur as we move forward. Page 6, toward the top of the page. We have 100%, which is really only $1,420, but that was just a reallocation of what we pay mentors who mentor our new teachers that come into our district. It was in another account line, and we just separated it out. Just a comment as we move forward, what I'd like to see is a ratification of some of these lines that we're not using, so that we can get this down to fewer pieces of paper and not have any distractions as we're going through these numbers. So that's my wish as we move forward. There's really nothing else in that page. We go to page 7. You'll see a little more action on this page. Professional development conference dues right at the top, 63.37. That's part of the increase in professional development that we've built into our budget. If you go down to the 30%, there's a $15,000 increase. That's tied directly into new educator evaluation software. Is it making sense to you, Lisa, as we're going down?
I'm just following along.
All right. Good, thank you. Appreciate that.
You gotta be a recent graduate of Littleton High School.
That's right, commendable. 114.43%, an increase of $15,476. That's indicative of the elimination of department heads and the reallocation of funds to curriculum coordinators. Now, if you remember back to that discussion, we took the sum of money for department heads and we split that money and created curriculum coordinators, curriculum leaders, and tech leaders. And we didn't increase the amount of money that we were using to pay for those individual positions. We created more positions and more opportunities for leadership. And that actually takes care of that page. Again, that was our biggest increase. Cost Center 3, student and staff support. I've already explained why that was the case, and it was 15.87%. Page 8. Other instruction. You go down partway through the page, you have a 100% increase, and all those lines are due to reallocation from other lines to those lines to tease them out so that we could track them. The 43.37% student activities clubs consolidation from other lines from our previous budget. Bottom of the page, 11.81%. Student activities clubs, step increases for experience for the people running the clubs. Again, different people running the clubs with different pay scales and experience levels. Page 9. Total increase for this cost center, other instruction, $18,560. Represents a 9.09% increase. Page 10, system administration. There's a negative number there. I don't know why it's there. I'm just going to skip over that and keep going. I'll see if you're really paying attention, because I'm not telling you what line that is. You should figure it. I'm sure you've figured it out by now. There must be an error. That's all I can say. Actually, the monies were just dispersed into other lines. I have to say that. As you go down this page, the only other one, there's two others here, I guess, the 28.20%. We hired a new person for that position. That's the data person who came in with different qualifications. And we had retooled our system a bit last year when we were replacing technology people, and we were able to extend our hours by a couple of hours a week. So that's the reason for that increase. And the 15.54% is curriculum development, and that was another increase in money allotted to professional development for different causes, or for a different cause, I should say. Page 11. Oh, I have to go back here. I better milk this one, get some credit for this one. System administration, total increase was 1.17%. Total was $11,548. Remember, system administration includes the superintendent, the staff that works with the superintendent, the business department, the curriculum department, and the central office special education department.
Attaboy. Is that what I was looking for?
I'm used to not getting more than attaboy. Just kidding. Cost Center 6, school administration. This really refers to the school principals and their clerical staff. And if you go through there, there's nothing that stands out. 2.64% increase, dollar-wise, $19,243. Page 12, transportation. I wish it was 0.09%, but with the bid that came in, that is no longer accurate. But the train's left the station, so there's really no sense changing this document at this point in time. Our recommendation will be to find ways to work within the budget that we've proposed to help make it happen. Item 8, facility and maintenance. I just don't know where to start there. As you can see, there's been a lot of changes for tracking. Where you see the 100%, it's because they were all bulked into or combined into one line, and now they're teased out into different lines to make tracking far more easier as we move forward.
That's self-explanatory, Kelly.
Yes.
I'll admit, I took your electric item and then I found it, and it's 4 other places, and it did add up to the same number, so I'm comfortable with those.
We're just trying to be able to track the actual expenses by school.
I did track them, and they tracked through.
It's like doing Sudoku. And other than that, as I keep going, there's nothing that stands out. Just with the reallocation of account lines to track much easier.
Bob, any questions? No. Darrell, any questions?
No questions. Just a couple comments, but I can hold those for. I lost my train. So one thing, just in thinking in terms of what next week's presentation and things are there, obviously it's hard year over year to project. We're showing a 5%-ish here, and we accounted for most of that with the deferred step and the step increases there on it. What kind of track do we think we're on in terms of year over year now for this and our ability to? The town is, they were projecting, I think trying to allocate like about a 2.5% bogey for our estimated increases. What kind of track do you think we're on? Because I think that will be a question that will probably come up.
Well, I mean, realistically, I've been doing budgets for over 20 years. And if you want to move forward and you don't want to downsize and you want to be the best you can be, to go under a 5% increase is tough to do. The only time you can really go under a 5% increase if you have a lot of turnover, a lot of retirements. That might give you that deviation that you need. But realistically, if you're doing 5%, you're pretty well maintaining, and with a little bit of restructuring and entrepreneurship, you're moving forward. So, that's what I see moving forward. When we do our presentation at the public hearing, the way we've created the PowerPoint, you're going to see some areas that are going to cause reflection. And one area that you're really going to notice is expenses. And I don't have the exact numbers on the top of my head yet, but I've asked Steve this summer to do an analysis for me in terms of student expenses throughout the region. And we're only looking at about, in our budget now, $5 a student, which is really low. And we know why we're there. We had to do it to make our budgets work. But as we move forward, as we design new curricula, as we think out of the box, it's going to cost some money for resources. And we're going to have to be aware of that as we build our budgets in the future. But again, I think we've done a tremendous job. And before my time here, you've done a tremendous job as well, making it work when money is tight. I don't think this system has skipped a beat. We're moving forward. Our expectations are high. We constantly reflect and reevaluate what we need to do to maximize the talents of our students. And you had testaments this evening and last school committee meeting of that. So we're on the right path. You know as well as I do, the leadership starts here, the school committee and the superintendent. And in order for our principals and our teachers to be able to do their jobs, they need the tools to do them. And that's what we're doing. That's what we're promoting and making sure that they have what they need to do the jobs that we've asked them to do. Our budget total, again, is 5% for this year, and the total amount is $781,900.
Carol?
No, thank you. You're welcome.
Thanks. And then, can we tag team with you and Mike next week?
Pardon?
Tag team between you and Mike next week?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. And we'll send you the PowerPoint for next week tomorrow.
One other thing, Paul.
Yep.
Are we extending an invitation to the Finance Committee and the Board of Selectmen to attend the
We can do that.
budget presentation so that they can,
We can do that. I'll see them both,
Yeah.
Monday and Tuesday. Yeah, make it personal. Thank you for recommending that. All right, anything else on the FY14 budget? Any questions from the audience?
For the budget?
Yes.
Not directly.
Okay. Finish new business then. Superintendent report?
Hold on one second, real quick. Just on the transportation, we're just gonna make it work. Because it goes from a 0.09 to a 4.5% increase.
Yeah, there are two things, and I'm really cautious because I haven't had a chance to sit down with Mike yet. But from my analysis of where we are in the budget, where we're headed in terms of teacher retirements, it's still going to be tight. But I think if we do a blend, we'll try to absorb it, but if we can't, we'll have to rely on revolving funds. We'll be okay.
Yeah, I wanted to give you an opportunity to come up with a solution, or at least some options for us. That's why I didn't press it this evening.
Okay.
So, superintendent's reports. Ethan, you're up again.
Thank you. I'm going to start at the high school time. We're going to start with the boys basketball team, kind of the talk the last couple of weeks. We ended our season Tuesday night at the DC Youth Center. Of course, tonight Mike's not here, so he can't help me out with this. But we celebrated a big win last Saturday over the Blue Raiders of Hopedale. We won 70-40-64 at Fitchburg State, and that gave us our first district title since 1987. Overall this season, we went 24-2, undefeated in mid-watch, and we just fell short on Tuesday night against a very good Smith team that is favored to win the state championship on Saturday. One more piece about the boys basketball team. It was announced just the other day. Our three senior captains, Ryan Sullivan, Chris Murray, and Danny Johnson, were all named to the Mid-Watch All-Star team. The Mid-Watch All-Star games are tomorrow night at Hudson High School. The girls play at 5:30, and the boys will play at 7. Also worth noting, Chris Murray, our senior guard, won his third league MVP award for Littleton High School. And transitioning off that, spring sports will start next week. Lacrosse, baseball have already started. The players are starting to meet. The rumblings have begun, and the track team is ready to go, ready to get back outside. We are currently in Spirit Week right now at the high school. This week will culminate tomorrow in the afternoon with our Spirit Pep Rally. I haven't checked the standings yet. Last time I checked, seniors were doing okay, so I feel pretty good. But moving forward, grade 10 MCAS testing for English Language Arts will be on the 19th, the 21st, and the 22nd. The Littleton High School College Fair, I believe specifically for juniors, will be on March 21st. And also next Thursday night is the World Language Festival at the high school. That will be from 6 to 8. A lot of food, and I may know of a trumpet duet that will be taking place that night as well. And March 27th will be the junior class silent auction from 6 to 8 p.m. and I believe that's at the high school. Down at the middle school, obviously there are certain kids not at the middle school this week given the DC trip. They left yesterday morning, but our guidance counselors from the high school are going down on the 18th and 19th for course selection meetings with the 8th graders as they prepare to come up to our high school. Student-led conferences are on the 14th, the 20th, and the 21st of this month. And for MCAS, the 7th grade has their long composition on the 19th, and the 6th grade has their English on Friday the 22nd. And then just a few notes for the elementary schools. There will be a grade 3 presentation of trees from the Littleton Country Gardeners on April 9th. Information night for students going from grade 2 to grade 3 will be at Russell Street on April 10th. The book swap, basket raffle, and ice cream social at Russell Street on April 26th. And also on the 26th will be a grade 3 field trip to the Wesley College greenhouses. That's all I have for you today.
Bless you.
Any questions?
I have a question about the junior class silent auction. It's the 27th at the high school.
It is, yes.
And if anybody has anything they want to donate to be auctioned off for the junior class, they can get in touch with Stephanie Gentili,
Yeah.
junior class president.
Right.
So if anybody has anything they want to donate, gift certificates or anything, it's, this is a big fundraiser for the junior class on March 27th. Get in touch with Stephanie Gentili, or maybe call the main office and let the main office know that you have a donation for the auction.
Thanks. Charlie?
Personnel update in your package. The 3 positions that are listed are a result of maternity leave, and then teacher movement as a result of that internally. CASE collaborative update. We really haven't spent a lot of time talking about CASE, and there are just a few things I wanted to point out this evening. First of all, our executive director, Teresa Watts, is retiring at the end of June. And we've been involved in searching and hiring for a new executive director, and we've appointed Michael Baldessari to this position, and he will be starting July 1st of this year. So we're going to have some changes. Teresa, I believe, was executive director for about 7 years. Mm-hmm. So we're starting fresh, so to speak, with somebody from actually Western Massachusetts that's coming in. We're excited with the vision that he brings to the table, and I can see CASE continuing to move forward in a very positive way. I have to say that during the 2 years that I've been here, I've been highly impressed with the programming, the professionalism, and also the cost containment that the CASE program offers our district. We could not in any way provide the service that they do if we were on our own. So there's an example of a partnership that has really enhanced what we can do with our students in our district.
Would we like to invite the outgoing director just to say thank you?
Sure, I think that's a great idea.
Okay, guys?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, would you take care of that,
I
please?
will. It's a good idea. Another exciting bit of news here is, for some reason, and I'm not going to say for some reason, that's probably the wrong language to use, but there is a pattern within CASE for many, many years. When students exited out of grade 8, they would go to private organizations. And obviously those costs jumped quite a bit when they did that. So for the first time, we have the development of 2 high school programs, one in Littleton. The students in our middle school will be moving up to our high school next year. So we're getting a room ready, et cetera, and have had a number of meetings with CASE. So we're going to be one of the 2 schools in the collaborative that are going to have a high school CASE program, which is really exciting. The other high school is Maynard, that is going to embark on the same journey that we are.
In their new building?
Pardon?
In their new building?
I guess.
So they're going to be happy.
Yes, yes. So that's exciting news, and we're looking forward to that integration. I've already met with Dr. Harrington and Diana Peterson, and have asked to sit down and develop a transition plan for those students. The other news at CASE, you've certainly been following the paper the past year with collaborative restructuring, so to speak. There's a new act called Chapter 43 that was approved January 29th, 2013. And as a result of that, the agreements are currently being restructured. For the case collaborative, this agreement, we finished it, we've sent it to the DESE for their approval, and once it's approved, I will be more correctly bringing a copy to the school committee to take a look at and endorse, if you so choose. And that's it for the case update. Any questions? 2014 calendar update. We have a draft. We've had an administrative meeting filling in some of the slots, so to speak, to make it work. Our intention is to have a calendar after we've sat down with the LEA and the principals have had a chance to look at it with their staffs, and bring one to the April 4th meeting and ask for your approval.
That's going to be a good set. Oh, excuse me, Kelly.
The only other thing that we should probably mention, wasn't on the agenda, but Chairman and I have been exchanging emails back and forth about the need to post for the Neshoba Tech alternate representative. That position is up. So we've posted, we've met the necessary regulations and guidelines. Our intention is to put that on our April 4th meeting and have an appointment at that date. Thank you.
And that's a joint appointment, Board of Selectmen, School Committee, and Town Moderator.
Right.
Okay. When we're in new business, Kelly, we forgot number 3, educator evaluation language.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's not your fault.
After all the months we spent on that. My goodness.
So speak to us there, please, and then...
Sure. In August, we started meeting with a group of 8 that we created as part of the Memorandum of Understanding for the last teacher contract. And we've been meeting right up till the end of February to come to some sort of agreement and be able to make a recommendation to the Teachers Association and also the school committee as to the protocols and the language. It's about 150, 160 pages, I think that document is, when you combine the two. So I'm pleased to report to you that the teachers have voted on it and have accepted it. And this evening, we're bringing it to you and asking for your endorsement as well.
We will be taking a vote to, in essence, that we approve to the work that Kelly has done with the LEA. This past Tuesday evening, Chuck, Kelly, and I met with the LEA and representatives and confirmed that as a negotiating committee, subcommittee that we're on, that we concurred with the work done and that we would bring it forward here with a recommendation for favorable approval. So, Chuck, why don't you make the motion?
Move the school committee vote to accept the educator evaluation language protocol as recommended by the negotiating committee.
Okay. Any second? Second. The motion made and seconded to accept the language. Any discussion? No? Billy, anything to add?
Just that I'd like to thank the group of 8 for sticking in there with us and having lively discussions as we move through the language. And I really believe that we have a good protocol in place, and we're excited about rolling it out next year.
Okay, I'm going to take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. And I want to echo what you said, Kelly. First, thank you. Thank the folks and your staff that worked on this, and definitely the folks at the LEA that brought it all together. There was a lot of work. You mentioned, did you say 118 pages?
Closer to 150.
Okay, there were a lot.
A lot.
And actually, some of us read a couple of them. Maybe emphasis on a couple. But sincerely, a lot of the stuff there, a lot of it certainly is the result of legislation passed a couple of years ago and signed into law by the governor. But thank you to everybody. Moving forward. And certainly I'd like to see as we get through that, and we're going to want your input back. I'm going to ask the LA for their input also, how it's going. And, maybe we let it go for a year and relook it. There should be some analysis as to the success of it as we go forward. Keep that on our school, please. Okay, go ahead.
We'll let, you be posting that to the website with the, so that, I know teacher evaluation has been a topic that's been ongoing for several years from people about the new frameworks and pieces. So will we be making that available?
We will post the framework to the website. That way, people can access it quite easily. I'll also have our lawyer finish the memorandum of agreement and
Obviously after
have our
it's
chair
ratified.
sign it, and then we'll post it, but yes.
Because now that we've voted yes, the LEA has voted yes, now we'll do the MOA, comes appended to the contract.
Right.
Okay, anything else on that, folks? Okay. Interested citizens?
Yes, actually, do you want me to get up?
Yeah, because we don't know who you are.
Really?
You really, so that way you can get
Well,
it
I have two
captured.
things, so.
Please, Lisa, thanks. And to be clear, we do know who you are.
Hard not to know me. Lisa Bone. First, I want to say, I'm CPAC co-chair, so I just wanted to announce that next Wednesday night is going to be the Basic Rights Workshop, which, every district is supposed to offer, or is required to offer. And I'm bringing it up here. We've been announcing it and posting the workshop, the flyer for it, but it turns out it was brought to our attention that it happens to be Shaker Lane conferences that evening, and we apologize. We did not have control over the scheduling of that workshop personally. It's done by the Federation for Children with Special Needs, and so it's based on their speakers' availability, as well as we're collaborating with Ayer Shirley, and Ayer is hosting it, so it was also in their building, so they worked with the Federation on the date. So again, we apologize to families if they're not able to make the date. I did also want to say that if somebody wanted to go and couldn't make it, there are certainly other basic workshops that can happen in the area that we can let them know when those are, as well as there's information that they can get from Pupil Services Director. Certainly CPAC is always available for questions, and we can direct them to any information that a parent may need. So I wanted to make sure that I stated that in case somebody doesn't get that information, because we're really basically just posting the flyers. Then, as an interested citizen, so I'm changing hats. Lisa Boone, 1 Uplands Road. I don't know if this is the proper time to ask, but I happen to be the parent of a 5th grader, and it is a bubble class. We've known about it for a long time. If anybody doesn't understand what that is, well, it was stated as a bubble class, meaning it's much larger than the typical classes that we've witnessed or had in recent years. And I'd been concerned as a parent for some time, wondering how the middle school was going to manage it. And recently, today, another parent who happens to have a 5th grader got told in a conference that, what the plan was for what they were going to do. And I had been at the principal's coffee in the middle school, because I also have a middle school student. And the original plan that I had been told a few years back has changed. I don't know how public the original plan was. I don't know how many people ask. But people are very concerned about the current plan now, especially because it's not really been, parents don't know about it. There's been no discussion or no, and I think that some of the things that are now being talked about may be inaccurate, may not be true, and I just think that there's a lot of concern. So I'm urging, I don't know if school committee really does that, it may just be the principal and superintendent, but essentially, I think it's really important to start those discussions with 5th grade parents. And I think you need to take a look at the enrollments right now, because they are progressively increasing. And so it originally, the thought was, oh, it's just one class, we'll deal with it for 3 years, they're there. But then if you look at the enrollments, 1st grade is even bigger now. So we're seeing an increase, and there's definite concern about not just class sizes, because that was the decision. Originally, what was talked about with me was hiring a couple of multidisciplinary teachers to kind of alleviate that problem, which isn't the best choice, but it's a choice that can be made given our current programming, the way we manage our middle school curriculum and programming. Now, instead, they decided to just, the word is that, the thought is that they would just absorb the children in the current classes and make them big class sizes. So, again, I know that there's been a lot of thought and a lot of talk about what's going to happen. I know that. I just think that parents aren't aware of what's been discussed and the different options, and I think making it be a little more transparent will alleviate some of the speculation and some of the things that might be going on, being talked about. So I just encourage some more open talk with parents so we can alleviate some of that. I don't think it's healthy for our
Specific
community.
to speak to Mark. and then in general.
Right. The rollout will be a combination of the Russell Street principal and the middle school principal in terms of what the plans are. I can tell you, I know it's not on the agenda, so I'll ask for your direction if you'd like me to give a brief answer or not.
Well, and I feel bad because, Principal Branco's not here, but I just wanted you to be aware that this has all of a sudden caught fire. And I just think that I also think, from personal opinion, that it's now pretty late in the year, and I know these discussions, and it has been, it's been going on for a long time, but at this time, if a parent chose to consider other options, it's really too late for some people. There's not a lot of charter school options in the area, and all those applications are primarily done. And, I'm not saying that's the answer either, but I'm saying there wasn't that, you're not giving opportunity to parents if they don't like the choice that, they're gonna have to take here.
Let's check it this way, if it's okay with you all. Let's just get with the principals that are affected, as you say, find out what's going on in that piece of it, expand upon it. Put it on an agenda item, but it won't be just specific to this 5th grade class, because I've got more concerns than a single class as we go into the next year, as we all do. We've talked often enough about the 40B development and what impact may be there. So certainly, and we've not discussed our summer school agenda yet, but that's definitely going to be something that's on the summer school agenda as to how we plan for potential impact. And we'll come up with a few variables and a couple of different options as to what may happen, because we've seen the gambit. So when the developer told us, I think, 50 or 60 more children, perhaps at the most. Other analysis have shown something more than that.
Right.
So we'll have to come up with some game plans that deal with more than just one grade.
And I appreciate that. And like I said, I think, they've done a good job managing it up until now, and we've known the middle school happens to be a difficult time because of the specific type of programming that they offer there.
Okay.
And, so that's why that happens to be unusual compared to how they've managed it in the past. It's easier to have when you have one classroom teacher and then add that versus when you do this core curriculum, the core classes.
All right, thanks for getting that awareness to us, Lisa.
All
Thank
right,
you.
so,
All right.
again, it's really more just, I think that when these things are discussed, if you can maybe give a little more transparency to parents, not complete, obviously, but just so that they feel comfortable that, okay, we're working on this diligently, and we'll get back to you about what we'd like to do.
You haven't had a middle school open house yet, have you?
An open house?
For the grade 5s?
I haven't seen anything, no. I
Step-up
did hear that.
Step-up day?
Step-up day hasn't happened yet.
Yeah,
No.
so that's what you would
No.
do here. Just a comment, just one sentence comment. Lisa, I heard you say something, and it has stuck with me. Under no circumstances will we put any child at risk in this community.
I'm not sure, I don't.
Well, you
I
just
didn't
said-
infer that there was a risk of anything.
No, but in terms of our scheduling, in terms of the number of students in classes, I just want to be very clear that the decisions we make, in our opinion, would not put students at risk. So, people are exploring other options without knowing the story. That's unfortunate, but, when the step-up day occurs, where you can make an appointment with Principal Branco, that would be fine. And I may have misread what you had said.
Yeah, I'm not sure,
when
at
you
risk
did
for
that.
what were you thinking? I'm not sure.
Well, My take on what you said is the class sizes are going to be too big, parents are going to be unhappy, they may be searching for other programs. My response is, we're not going to organize class sizes in a fashion that are going to be detrimental to student learning.
And I agree, not agree. I understand that that may be the opinion, but when a parent has been used to a certain class size, it's difficult to see a large increase, especially at a time when it can be a difficult time for students. I'm not saying that all parents feel the same way by any means. Plenty of school systems have much bigger class sizes very successfully. So I'm not trying to indicate that. I'm saying that parents should be allowed to have a choice if they don't agree with that, if they prefer to have something, that may accommodate their particular child. That's all I'm saying.
All right, thank you.
So-
Thanks, Lisa. And as necessary, we can make that an agenda item on the 4th, okay? But whatever business you deal with the principals between now and then, that's your business.
Sure.
I think, Mark, just if I could add support for Mark's absence, just that I won't say too much about it because I don't know a lot about the issue, but I'm looking at the numbers for projected current enrollment across the district. And I think Mark would want to offer some reassurance there because we have a pretty good size 8th grade coming into us. It's going to offset 5th grade going into 6th grade a little bit. We're talking about 12 kids or so. And if you minus 3 school choice, seats opening in the 6th grade, it should be quite doable. But I'd have to talk to Mark and Scott.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I do want to make sure that it is something that we do address and make a public statement so that folks are aware, because it is, to Lisa's point, it is a buzz.
Yeah, that's why it'd be good to give them those numbers.
Right.
Right.
All right, subcommittee reports? It's a PMBC, one question, track handover for PMBC to us?
Literally had Jeff's trying to nail down Gail to get them to do the handover. I don't think she's responded. I can check right now, but he sent emails as recently as this afternoon.
Do we know when the first scheduled track meet is on the track?
25th? April 25th, I think. Well, when's the LTO has scheduled the
event's on the 6th, I believe. I thought the track was like the Wednesday before that.
Track meet?
Track meet.
6th of what month?
April.
March 25th. Is the date I was thinking of, April 25th.
John, hate to put you on the spot.
Sorry?
Do you know when the first outdoor track meet might be on our track?
Do you have the spring schedule?
I think that's the opening of the track. April 6th or April 7th.
April 6th, the indoor, the thing at the Russell Street School, right? But that's not the first track meet.
Yeah, I believe that's the same day as the track meet.
They go inside.
I think they're going to have the track meet and then go inside, I believe.
According to the athletic website, it says April.
I sent them
April
a notice,
3rd.
but it's April 6th or 7th. We're looking at
April 3rd is the first meet, home meet?
It was on- it was on
According
your-
to the
yeah, it was
athletic
on my
website,
meeting last
according to
week.
Coach Lynn's website, it's April 3rd.
All right, like I said,
That might be an away meet.
we've got to,
It says Russell Street.
Okay.
It's the debut of the
whatever it may be, I'm not 100% certain, but I'm pretty darn close to it, that we have to have the track assigned to us. We've got to have possession of it as a town. So at the very least, it has to have cleared from the contractor to the PMBC. It's not the biggest deal in the world for PMBC to us, but certainly from the contractor to the town, before I think we do a meet on it.
Right.
Your thoughts?
Jeff has made Gail aware of the dates. And it's not going to be complete, but we're going to accept it with some conditions.
Yeah, the LHS first home track meet in 5 years will be on Wednesday, April 3rd through 3rd.
All right, run with that, please. Thanks.
April 3rd?
That's what I have here in the notice.
I just don't think we can do it if they still want.
That means you need to do it next week. That means you need to
There's
do
a
it next week.
celebration, track celebration on
Since we
April
went down this
6th.
road.
Next school committee meeting is April 4th, right?
Right. Yeah, our next meeting's April 4th.
21st.
You have the 21st next week.
21st.
Yeah, as I say, I don't think it's absolutely necessary we've accepted it from the PMBC, through any formal vote or whatever, but it has to be town property first.
Yeah.
Turn over to the town. I mean, there's probably insurance issues and a whole slew of other stuff I couldn't even imagine, and I'm sure Gale, as a company, would be hesitant to allow anybody on it if they're still in possession of it. So right, Chuck's got it, so.
Chuck,
We have sent
will,
out extensive notices letting everybody know that the track is.
you feel
currently-
comfortable dealing with that?
Yes,
If you
absolutely.
need, you just give me a call.
Thank you.
All right, budget, we talked about that. Safety and security?
We met earlier this week. Let me just get my notes there. Let's see, several of the various safety activities that we talked about in executive session are getting ready to be undertaken there. Got an update on the radios. They've been several of them have been rekeyed to the new frequencies, and we're trying to get a handle on how many we actually need because of there's some shortages due to the number of staff that should be using them versus the number of staff that are using them. We're getting that handled there. Our next meeting is scheduled for 30 April. And we've asked the SRO, School Resource Officer, to give us an internal presentation on the ALICE program so we understand what it is in preparation of bringing an informational briefing to the full committee for what is that program. Not that we're recommending it, but just so that people understand what kinds of things are developing in the school environments for lockdown procedures.
We could ask for that, so thank you. All right, we ready to go to policy?
Yeah. So under policy, it's, this week, we're just going to do just the ones that were requested by the administration. Policy DJ and DK, which are purchasing, and my system is blanking on the next page there. Payment procedures there. We reviewed these policies last week during our subcommittee meeting here. We have just a few administrative updates to the purchasing policy, basically replacing superintendent with superintendent or designee for the actual purchasing agent so that it can actually be authorized down to be our business manager. You know, and a little typographical correction there. The request by the business manager at the last meeting was concerning the use of a credit card for companies that don't accept a purchase order. In our review of our policy in the surrounding towns, they all have the same language as ours. However, they are using credit cards, and our determination is the procedures and checks and balances that are in place for approval of purchases and them being issued by the business office are consistent with that. The technicality of whether a company accepts a purchase order or not, we're still going to issue a purchase order internally for tracking purposes and validation and reconciliation of the bills there, so that the final mechanism of payment via credit card or payment via the town check to the company was not really relevant to the policy here. So we're comfortable that policies DJ and DK as written allow for use of a credit card for a final payment mechanism, and that the checks and balances and the approval process to the school committee, it will be transparent to us as to what that payment mechanism was.
Okay. So the only thing we're talking about today then, as far as policy goes, is...
So I gave for first
what we
reading
have,
just
or
these
numbers.
as reviewed here, and then I have a motion to authorize the superintendent to request from the town business manager a purchasing card for our business manager there. I'd like to make a motion to authorize the superintendent to request from the town accountant a purchasing card, credit card for use by the business manager for use in school purchases.
Second.
Okay. And if I missed this, I apologize. A limit. Is there a limit on the card?
I think that's set by the town procedures. I don't know, I don't remember if we had to request an amount authorization in
Honestly, I don't remember. I know anecdotally, at one point in time, we had used the town accountant's credit card to pay a bill that was in excess of $100,000 for one of the building projects. So.
I saw you test that with a truck.
I don't remember reading in the town
You should have kept
procedure
that to
whether we had to
yourself.
specify a limit on it.
No, it was just a payment.
Wow.
The building project.
All right, I'm okay to say, in accordance with town policy on that. Are you okay with that?
Yeah.
You all?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, so if you amend your
Yeah,
motion to that.
amend my motion to request a town purchasing card for the use by the business manager in accordance with town policies and procedures for credit card usage.
Okay.
3 seconds.
Motion's made and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Please research that and get us a note as to what it is.
Yep.
If it's nothing, we may revisit it as
I'll
a
let you
committee,
know.
but.
I'll let you know.
And
And if it's $100,000, we're all going to see the band next time.
No, well,
And just as a formality, we'll finalize them next time. For first reading is the updated, reviewed DJ and DK procedures, policies. Which I don't think we need a motion for.
Right now, you just added something to the agenda, because the only thing we were going to put on the agenda next week was going to be the policy, the budget. Is there anything else
I
you
could
want on
defer
there?
that if we.
It's easy enough. I don't mind doing that. Is there anything else you guys would like to see on the agenda besides budget and these two policies?
think we-
Silence is consent.
We probably should have another discussion on when we are with the track. It'll be a last
Give us an
time to-
update. How's
Give us
that?
an
Yeah,
update. It'll
track
be a last
update.
time
All right.
to talk about.
Track update.
On the track beat.
Anything else you want?
I was trying to see if Ian responded to my texts.
Oh, okay. Okay, so at least for right now, Kelly, the budget, track update, and the two policies.
Sure. The 5th grade bubble.
Yeah, he's going to.
It's gotta be,
I asked for
April.
on the 4th. It's 4th.
Yeah. Sorry.
You're right. You okay with that? To wait till then? Sarah? Okay.
There may be communication prior to that from
Yeah, I
the
think that
principal
might be-
to the parents.
I mean, we both have 5th graders, so do you think the masses can wait until April 4th?
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, the sooner the better.
I don't know when, like I said, I actually wasn't part of, I just got wind of a lot of stuff.
You're hearing buzz.
Yeah, it's going to be more FYI here. I'm expecting direct communication from the schools to the parents.
Yeah, I mean.
That kind of
I
information
really
has to be
just wanted
direct.
to sort of get the, let you guys know that there was all of a sudden a lot of talk.
Right.
So that nobody thinks there's any hubris here. There's no doubt in our mind, more people will learn about it directly from the school
Well-
than they will through this venue.
That's what I assumed.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe that's the way to do it, is through Scott and through Mark, through their
Right.
communications with the
I think it's
parents.
probably better to deal with it at that level.
Yeah, I've been
first.
given a.
Updating it here is okay,
Yeah.
but deal with it there, please.
That's where it needs to be
The
done.
reason I have brought up here is somebody started talking budget.
No, I appreciate that, but dealing with it now is more important to me now.
Right. No, I mean that the talk that was being talked about said something that it was all, there was a lot of budgetary reasons why they decided, and I don't know if that was accurate.
Okay.
That's why I brought it up here, because I've got
Alex?
Would it be worthwhile to include maybe a little bit of information about the 5th grade situation, and again with the 1st grade, down the road, at the next meeting, because it is so relevant to the budget, or would that completely derail
Well,
that presentation?
we can clarify some of that right now with Mr. Faraday, that the bubble doesn't exist.
I'm sorry, the 150
No,
students?
No,
Shaker League.
120 in first grade.
Okay, ESC has to-
DESD is reporting 150 in our current first grade. That's what's online, that's what they published, just so you know.
Is that what it is?
There's a lot of bars in Malden.
So whatever's on
There's not
DESD.
150 there.
Okay, so that's where those numbers are coming from. Is
All right.
Not this year's numbers,
DESE is reporting that.
All right, I'm not going to get into debate on
Right,
the
I'm
state
just telling you
website.
so
That's-
you know.
That's from 4 years ago,
All right.
that's the 5th grade class numbers.
So-
we're looking at.
No, this is 2012.
Got it, we're going to move on, folks, got it. Anything else beside that particular issue? Okay. All right, we're going to need an executive session, somebody make a motion, please.
Let me just get my reasons out. I make a motion to move into executive session for the purpose of contract negotiations and discussion of safety devices with no intent to return to open meeting.
We just had contract negotiation update.
Did I say that?
I did. Contract negotiations.
Well, that would make sense. Sorry, I just don't pay attention.
Nobody listens to me.
So you got to second it.
No, I leave it alone.
Second it.
Okay,
All right, motion
criticize.
made and second, go to executive session, no intent of returning for purposes of contract negotiations and safety and security.
Security devices.
All right, roll call, Bob? Aye. Darrell?
Aye.
Chuck?
Yes.
Aye. Unanimous. Thank you. Appreciate it, folks.
Very good.